we talk about every day. We got Obi in today. He's in for Sean. Sean's got the day off. Neil locked in, loaded. They're ready to look at the tickers as decided by you on the How to Trade Midday Show. So make sure to join Adair and I every day between 11 and 2 and get into the chat and vote for the tickers as you want, and tell your friends to vote too. So look, this is the futures here. Good move up off that initial bad start, but we did mean revert quite aggressively as we got into that 19,300 level on the NQ September contract. Couldn't breach that level, and down we go again, right into the volume weighted average price. We'll have the big kahunas look at that, and Obi will tell you all about his mean reversion trade. But TSLA, the first one of the bunch. Again, no real specific catalyst for this one today, but we did get midday that Xpeng, one of their competitors over in China, is actually looking at rolling out the robo-taxi, and they're doing it before that October 10th date that Tesla is slated to roll out there. So Tesla, as you saw there, Adair finish off the midday show on the way down, guys. What is the look right now, though, for Tesla?
Well, I kind of feel like if it was the same as the things I'm in right now, it was like a short the pop, potentially. So I'm kind of hearing this weird echo. Yeah, I don't know if it's just me. We're hearing echo in areas. There we go. No, still hearing it. So look, everybody saw what just happened maybe 40 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. So you had a gentle uptrend, pretty steady, and then a hammer candle, like everything was reverting. If you were short, you're laughing. I'll get to, I was in ARM at the time. I got ARM on a break at that time. But now that this has happened, the question is, do we have any continuation? Like everything that I would have said were not for this, I think you almost throw out the window. Lower high is at 221 Tesla. That was a morning range bottom. So I think it's a simple over-under game. If it breaks back out above, I think there's going to be shorts trapped. I mean, I've re-entered into some short positions here, and you could get another flyby. Tesla is one of the names that didn't get to VWAP, so a bit stronger, and it's still green on the day. So a couple of things working in favor of Tesla for it to get back to this high. I think if it breaks the top, we could really go running. That said, that was a heck of a sell-off move, and only because you just mentioned Xpeng. We said this during the lesson of the day. Like Xpeng, it's right back to that 850 level. If you took the 850 bounce, great, but it went almost exactly to this previous high from the 23rd. It was just right on a T, 1 cent away, rejected, came back underneath 870. The only mistake I made was flatting some shares, which was, I think, pretty foolish. But I'll get to a little something after we're done our rundown of symbols, because I have quite possibly the most hilarious chart to show you. But I'll save it till we're done this little rundown.
Yeah, no, I like Tesla there. Continuing that sell-off from yesterday, right off of the open, we saw aggressive selling, not just only on Tesla, across the board on a few different names there. Again, Mag 7 and futures there, nice little sell-off at the end of the day. But take a look at this, off the open, can't really get past this pre-market consolidation range low area-ish, and then we break pre-market lows as well on the trip twos on Tesla, straight low flush down, nice reversion as well. I like those. And yeah, nice little reversion, all that bidding coming right back up to trip twos, and then we flush back down again. But now Tesla definitely an interesting name there. Day 3 earnings, right? So definitely giving some opportunity, but trading within the range of these earnings day 1, earnings day 2 as well. We're still trading within that kind of range. So interesting price action on Tesla nonetheless.
Another EV name here, Rivian. Again, no specific catalyst for this one, but we did get this earlier in the week that they were going to have to actually face Tesla in court as the judge would not dismiss their lawsuit. Accused here, Rivian is by Tesla for poaching their employees, as well as those employees stealing technology from Tesla and taking it over to Rivian. Not really much of a down move today, up 1.17. Still, guys, underperforming the market.
Oh my goodness, it's really close. Like the ES is 1.2, it's 1.17. It's so very close to the ES right now is Rivian. But the retracement back in is still right back into VWAP. My goodness, does everything have to set up for short right now? Pump back into VWAP. You've double topped it here. So as far as I'm concerned, like you've double topped it in what has been a gentle downward trend. Okay, so gentle trend is down. There's your lower high. Check that triple top. What am I even talking about? Triple top at 1690. Now you're going to get the first available lower high. and a potential that you break down at the end of the day, yeah, this could be on the list for VWAP trades. I'm in AMD off of VWAP.
Guy in the chat.
Though, so I don't know how much I'm gonna want to get to Rivian, but hey, 1690 triple top. I think I would be looking for some kind of a sell. When I see something like this happen and pull back, I'm generally thinking either you make the lower high like this and continue flushing, or you retest the top. And anything in between is completely irrelevant to me because you've already broken the trend and made that high. So the consolidation is here at VWAP. I'm in AMD right now, which we'll talk about, I suppose, next when we get to NVIDIA.
Yeah, no, Rivian, again, more interesting price action, man. Take a look at prior day's high right here at that 1690, and today's high is exactly the same. Again, kind of singing the same tune as Tesla within its range for the past couple of days. You can see yesterday, nice little strength off of the open, 1580s up into 1680, 1690 being the high, and then you come right back in and at the end of day market, a market sell-off there, and then getting more of the same range today as we had majority of yesterday as well, 1620 to 1690 right there on Rivian. Interesting stuff. They did have relative volume yesterday. I'm forgetting what the news on Rivian might have been prior day, but it seems like that range still holding very, very interestingly on the day today.
1% and change here. It was a bit underperforming some of the other Mag 7 names on the day, but there was this positive headline. Nvidia supplier SK Hynix out in South Korea looking at building a big plant there for high bandwidth memory HBM to the tune of $6.8 billion. You'll know that the new Blackwell chip that is being slated to be released later this year is going to have a whole lot of high bandwidth memory in there, so looking to secure some of their supply chain, guys.
Yeah, NVIDIA was a good one today. We're looking short off of, look, underneath 117 was the play for us once, twice. I mean, it was an afternoon sort of thing 2 days ago, and then didn't get to 117 yesterday before pulling back, and then tried to break it here, double top. Now, we didn't end up getting anything off of 17. We just shorted VWAP and VWAP and under VWAP and under VWAP. And then when it made the higher lows into this wedge, stopped doing it. Right? Like this was part of the lesson of the day. But, get away from the trade when all of a sudden it's doing something different. So it was kind of, I could have taken this trade. I tried and missed it. Didn't quite get that top, and then we got away. Now you're right back underneath VWAP, and I'm going to pivot to this because AMD, which I was scalping short into VWAP, is trying to run the top. And it's at VWAP already, and NVIDIA isn't. So the only reason I'm going to favor NVIDIA, and AMD's up 1.2%, 1.25%, and NVIDIA's up 1%. They're both up a little bit, but one is a little bit weaker than the other. And one last one for you. During that, you'll see I didn't have the Huadunk down on NVIDIA or AMD. It was ARM that just so happened to break trend, and we look at these all the time. But at that moment that everything was breaking down, the trend was breaking on ARM, so I got that one short, 149.5 into 148. This could also be a VWAP retracement. So I'm looking at ARM and NVIDIA not yet at VWAP, more likely to maybe fade those if they fail VWAP, as opposed to AMD. But I'll give you one more look on NVIDIA, just because we're talking about, this is a name that you guys wanted, back into the 15-minute. Everything. All that said about how key 117 is, keep this in mind. You got that huge wick bottom, close with a higher low, and if we hold on to this, it would still be a higher low into this 117, which could still set up a bullish breakout on Monday. It's entirely possible. For now, I think it's a short into VWAP, and I think that 17 is resistance, but you would still be putting in a decent higher low, barring anything crazy this afternoon, which I say that knowing full well what happened yesterday. It's certainly possible.
Yeah, no, again, NVIDIA wasn't necessarily my top name today, but yesterday's price action was absolutely wild. You saw that nice V-shaped recovery, 100% reversion off of the open there. Take a look at this. That's absolutely beautiful there. A low of 106.30s. Reverts all the way back to 115s, 116s, 116 at 63 high a day. Coming in today, a little bit of the same range. We attempt to push that high. Is that right off of the open? That's right in the pre-market there. Yeah, 927 candle. So right in the pre-market, we attempt to push that pre-market high, fail right off of the open, and we are trending a little, or we were trending a little bit lower. Now we're just sideways on top of some of these levels from earlier on the day. VWAP holding below that. We just saw that Quadunk come in. What time was this? In and around 1:30 there, and we're trading low. We're trading below VWAP right now. So it's interesting price action nonetheless. Guess somebody was selling right here. You can see that market slam down as well. Nice little beautiful reversion. But Nvidia not really pulling back as much. So that's definitely interesting. Let's see if more of that selling comes in going into the later half of the day with only about an hour and 15 minutes left. Nvidia looking interesting, a little sideways.
Palantir, again, no headline specifically for this one, but that doesn't mean there weren't some earlier in the week. This one does report, though, on August 5th, expected to beat analyst expectations. It did so last time, growing revenue 21% year over year on the quarter. Dan Ives, a couple of weeks ago, did chime in on this one, basically laying out the bull case and boosting the price target to $50, a nice premium from where it's trading at right now, guys.
$50. That would not be too bad. I know a few people that would be happy about that. Well, I know one person to be really happy to see 50, a 5 handle on Palantir, no questions asked. But you know what? In this bounce, which is shallower than the high in the market, Palantir is back up to top. And I'm not talking about top pair, top kicker. I'm talking about resistance, baby, 27.30. So once, twice. How many is this? It's interesting that like I'm sitting next to Obi on occasion, and I feel like triple tops happen more when I'm sitting next to Obi, and then that Obi thrice thing just comes into my head. But like you can't make it up. I'm including the lower high from 2 days ago because it was significant. So 27.30, 27.30, 27.30. You're at 27.23. I don't have to tell you that is a huge wipeout bottom we had yesterday, and there is a big difference between things that are recovering to the high when everything is just trying to recover after a down move. Things that are recovering to the high are stronger, in case that wasn't obvious. So 27.30 on a break looks pretty interesting for me today. Maybe even a VWAP dip. Palantir is in the good books right now, because that move you had down was a take everything down move. It probably didn't matter what stock. Microsoft, one of the strongest stocks out there, that moved down on it as well. It didn't matter what you were trading. It probably fell during that move at 133. So separate things into 2 buckets, what's recovered and what hasn't. This has recovered. That makes it strong. I'm not thinking short on this name. Plenty of other things you can try to short. At least I think there are. But Palantir is definitely not one of them. Super strong. Might get that breakout this afternoon. Good name. If I had the hat, I'd flash it, but I'm pretty sure Sean said he either left it in his car or it's still at home. I think he had it in the car. Is it there?
It's the green one, right?
Well, yes. Yeah. The green hat is there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if it breaks the high, we'll bring it out.
All right.
How about that?
Cool.
That's fair. Breaks the high, we'll bring it out.
Yeah. No, it is. I definitely like that look. We were talking about how things might be building up. We got a strong sell-off on Wednesday. Very, very aggressive. Dips into 25.42 lows. Prior day, and then I'm just taking a look back to see what that 25.42 is. You can see right here some aggressive buying off of that 25.26 level right there, 68. And yeah, so that we did kind of dip right back into some of those prior levels after a strong sell-off and an aggressive bid back up yesterday, holding VWAP, and today this sideways consolidation. And yeah, I like that. I like that attempt at the highs there. We did wick that high right off of the open, but we've been pretty much sideways for majority of the day, just orbiting around this VWAP level here. Let's take a look at a quick higher time frame as well. Look at it on the hourly. You can see it a little bit better. Still holding this overall uptrend that we've been having on Palantir. So yeah, it did kind of break trend on that heavy sell-off on Wednesday. That was very aggressive. Might have been a couple of trades there, but next day we just base off, make a higher low relative to all of these, and we're attempting to bid right back up. So the question becomes, can we get past this 27 halves and re-enter kind of this chop that we've been doing there? But Palantir, interesting name, bit of a bid yesterday. See if that continues going into the end of the day with only an hour and 45 left.
To be clear.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right.
There it is.
Yes, we will.
Oh, hi. Last one over here, Coinbase, just to end the show. So Coinbase, again, no really headline with this one today. What is going on, Neil? Okay. Coinbase, no headline, but the crypto conference did start today in Nashville. The Van Eck CEO was there and disclosed a large portion of his portfolios, 30% in crypto. Donald Trump and JD Vance also slated to speak at that conference on the weekend, and crypto had a fantastic day today. We talked about the rotation into IBIT, net inflows for Bitcoin, net outflows, guys, for Ethereum.
First off, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to the best moderator in the world, Bears versus Bulls. Not just because we have a fantastic community that he connects everybody with in our live chat. If you want to be in the chat, make sure you are a subscriber. But also because he happened to think that was a decent impression of Obama, which I'm not good at impressions at all. However, my daughter is on this thing where she's 7 and she really loves impressions. Preston Praxton from the Rainbow Rangers, which I've been trying to do, and then anybody that she sees in YouTube videos. So I've actually been working on impressions to make my daughter laugh, and I'll try and throw some out there if people actually think they're good. I think I suck. I think Coinbase, look, in complete hindsight, and hindsight's always going to be 2020, right? We all saw that level at Coinbase. Coinbase never closed above the 265. So that breakout that looked like it was imminent, that would have been really cool, just didn't happen. And probably should have just been look short for a couple of days, at least into the 50-period moving average. Well, you know what? It got to the 50-period moving average, found this bottom, the support at 230, wicked it yesterday because everything wicked levels yesterday. So it was almost like if it could just hold on to that 30, which it did, gap up, fall back into previous resistance, and double dip it and run. So a lot of times, I think we overcomplicate things. If it pulls back into prior resistance, there's a couple of nasty wicks out there, but then it holds and then breaks back out the top. When it does that pivot back and forth, you're probably looking at a long. Now, that said, that's not the thing I was trading today. I slapped the old fail on Mara because I wanted it breaking out, and Mara didn't care what I wanted. Like, Mara tried to go. We took a breakout trade on Mara. Okay, technically speaking, I did have it off 22 and at 22.11 and then got stopped out. Then I bought the dip, which at the time was off of VWAP. But if you look at a 15-minute chart, right, like as I'm getting in, I'm kind of getting it on the back end. So even if that kind of worked and that could have been worse, it was pretty much at the moment where you wanted to fail at the 22 level. There was never a dip in this one that I really liked. But it doesn't matter because we always talk, if it takes the stairs up, there's your wipeout bottom. All you got to do is look for the next level up. You don't need to have the bottom. You just need to be in the trend. And I say this all the time because I fall for it myself. You don't have to have the bottom. You don't have to have the top of any kind of short. If something is going to trend for most of the day, which this did after the open, just find the higher low. It was right off yesterday's high. I could have been right back in at 21.25. Obviously, you're not going to know that the market's going to dump like it did at 21.90, so you're probably taking some out. But that's the kind of trade that you're going to want to have. That said, you're not going to be able to wipe a smile off my face that I'm not absolutely wrecked today. I'll let you talk about Coinbase, and I'll let you guys know.
Okay, yeah, no, Coinbase. I guess it was a little bit on watch after some of the action that Bitcoin's been having. And yeah, off of the open, we did break prior day. We were opening above prior day high, the nice little pre-market consolidation above prior day high. Again, after we did a strong reversion, sure, we close off pretty weak into the close there, trading back down. But when we open up here with a little bit of the same consolidation that we had prior day, but a little bit above prior day's highs, take a look at the action that comes in off of the open. A little bit of a lick grab of pre-market lows and then a strong trend up. So how much did it actually trend up off of that wick low? Let's take a quick look here. Off of that, that's about almost a 9-point run from 240 pre-market consolidation, not necessarily pre-market low lick grab, but pre-market consolidation lick grab. Again, more of the volume kind of coming in after that 7 a.m., 8 a.m., even 9:30. morning candles right there. So you can see that we did a nice little move on Coinbase off of that. But since then, we've been pretty much, well, we sold off. That was absolutely beautiful in terms of a reversion. But you can see that we've been trading below VWAP, attempting to reclaim VWAP as of right now. So interesting stuff. I feel like the morning was a good time for opportunities on Coinbase. We've been in a bit of a range chop since then, since about, what is this, about 10:30, that momentum kind of dissipates and we're just kind of chopping around underneath VWAP since then. So we'll see.
Yeah, the market's making another move to the downside.
Okay,
so those are kind of choppy still, but that's okay. So the NASDAQ approaching, so that flush bottom, 19,150 on the NASDAQ. We're approaching that same low again. Microsoft just lost a support level at 426. That's what I hit the flush for. But I could have also hit this.
Still going.
And this one. So as I said, I got very, very lucky today. And the reason I got lucky is because I was sized down to like 20% on a stock of what I was trading it for yesterday. Because while I was doing the lesson of the day, and none of you, I guarantee you didn't notice while I was doing the lesson of the day, at about noon, I was long a certain stock that's 92 cents with a stop at 92. And I'm being very dramatic about this for a reason. And this broke. Now, I'm not making this up. I had a stop order. That's where it filled. Wow. That's where it broke. That's where it filled. But I'm going to be flat on the day today.
Script stop?
Yeah, it was a script stop. And that's where it filled. So every now and then this is going to happen. I've had, like, trust me, I've had ones like that which are you just been shut down on something. It's very, very rare, but I got really lucky. As I said, I happened to be sized down in that moment because I didn't really love the bounce long. If you remember yesterday, I was like, it needs to be over 94 for breaks. I'm in it scalping 93 to 92 for like 1 cent right now because it's back to normal. But, you know, you can't be mad. I'm actually more upset that I didn't get the long back in here than anything else. I was talking about it with some of the guys. Like, that was essentially free money. It's not often that a buyout goes, and this stock is being bought for $1 cash. $1 cash. And so it's not often that a buyout goes SSR and is down over 10%, short sell restricted. So after it ran the stops, obviously, the only reason I even knew it happened, I saw it happen. I'm like, oh crap, I had the level 2 up and I was finishing the lesson of the day. I went over and didn't really get the long. That said, those are rare opportunities. Now I have a very simple trade going on in the stock, which is not going to yield a monster win. It is, this was the previous low, I'm short to it. Keep it as simple as you can. It is what it is. We'll see what happens. As I said, Microsoft is coming back into the downside, so that's looking pretty good. Apple's holding up pretty well here, Obi.
Yeah, it is.
And like, I'm looking for things. Obviously, we talked about Palantir. Palantir's kind of more of a breakout or a VWAP dip, and it's not at VWAP. Let me put that back up there, Palantir. No, it's not a VWAP yet. That'll be 2705. But Apple is holding VWAP in a higher low. So if the market holds on, I'd say Palantir looks pretty good. Apple looks okay. I have to keep an eye on Microsoft because let's remember, Microsoft was one of the strongest names out there. Wow, that trend break.
That was
you know what's interesting? The last time we were looking at a trend break like this,
it's almost the exact.
It was Shopify,
yeah.
but both of us sat in our seats the whole time. I got out of my seat to go chat with Brankles. I love you, Brankles. No, it's fine. It is what it is. Like I said, it is what it is. But when this broke that trend, and this is the reason why you put anything with a steep trend like this, since VWAP, very, very steep, look what happens when it breaks it. It just holds the line as resistance, and you happen to have that market dump. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not, but let's be real. That was a fun one. Yeah, I'm going to get over to this Palantir. It doesn't even want VWAP. This is a strong one, Obi. It got to 2710 right back up to the high. I think Palantir is going to break this top.
That's pretty wild there, man. That market flush. I asked the chat, was anybody in any shorts? Did anybody catch that market quadunk? Oh boy, that came in real hot. And I was talking to Neil already. We were talking about how SOFI's so strong. Like, is this strength going to continue? It's even accelerating in terms of its trend there. You can see if you draw any speed lines, when it comes to trend lines, you can see that the trend is accelerating, right? The speed lines kind of help you see that, okay, there's trend acceleration or deceleration even, but there's trend acceleration as well, which is even better for the reversion in my opinion, because I'm like, all right, well, we're really kind of ramping up. So when that bid kind of gives, I definitely want to be there. And the bid kind of did give for a little bit there, right, Neil? So we were looking at right here. That's what we were looking at. Neil and I sat down, and I was like, oh, okay, well, where do I want to draw this line from? Take the point at last where we held VWAP quite well, a little pullback consolidation for the high-a-day break, and then you start accelerating in the trend. I think I started getting short in and around here and continue to short up. Got more here, and then happened to be there for the quadrunk. But I covered everything right here in this consolidation, which is something I got to do better with. Strong sell, break of all-day trend. Maybe not an all-day trend, but let's measure this right here. This is a strong trend. Sure, you can count the open, but the open was really, really choppy. Some of you may even want to start the trend from here, where we actually break out, right? So let's do that. An hour and 48 minutes if you measure from there, from the VWAP hold. About 2 hours and 20 minutes, right? So we've been bidding up for quite some while there, and all of a sudden you get a strong flush, and everybody starts hitting the bid off of a break in trend there. And if you're looking at the 15-minute, the 15-minute was a little distinct as well. You can see the 15-minute is what we kind of drew it on. We're like, all right, this is really accelerating. Look at those prior bars hold very well. The first time the prior bar breaks, sure, you continue bidding up for a little bit, but the buyers are definitely dissipating from there, and I got to do better at punching more in here. So let's take a look at my chart to see what happened there. Okay, so forward, we're still in that forward here. You know what?
You know what's interesting about that? I want to. So that same setup. Look, I had a similar trade in ARM actually for that trend break, and then I'm going to show you an example of using that same principle for a different setup that I think I screwed up on serve today. So I had serve failing this. See this hammer? Like, look at the wick. When it breaks 16, it just smacks right back down underneath 16. If I see that kind of a reversal candle on a small cap runner, I'm going to want to be short there. I'm not waiting for it to break the trend since VWAP, which would be right about here. So I got into the short. I'm not taking anything out till it tests the trend line. However, the mistake was not that I got out when it got the previous support, 16 to 15, it's a strong stock. Look what happens after. Like after it drops underneath, you look at that trend since VWAP, the same principle always talking about, the same thing that got me into my ARM trade. It's just, since it held VWAP, take that low. I could draw a little bit better for you. I could have put that over here, but it's the same principle. It then tries to get above and keeps failing above that previous trend with a resistance at 1580. And then look at it drop after that. There's something to be said about when you are trying to make a mean reversion trade, the best trades are usually going to give you a chance to get in after it's done some kind of an obvious trend reverse. You'll make more money if you magically catch the top before that happens, but it's better to be in the trade when you're right. You know, like I could have been sitting in ARM underneath 150 the entire afternoon and just been trying to short VWAP and getting stopped out and all that kind of stuff. Or I could do the same principle, something that'll look a little bit like this. Whether I can draw that better than I can, but you guys get the idea. Like it's holding the same trend since it double bottoms. So double bottoms here, then it holds this trend line. As it's breaking the trend line, the entire market dumps, whatever. But it's failing underneath that trend line for the first time with any volume. Like it's bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. It fails, you enter the short. Instead of just sitting in it the whole way. And obviously you're going to make more money short 149.50 than, 150 than shorting 149.50. You make 50 cents extra. But you don't have to worry about the fact that buyers that are following this are feeling pretty good about themselves. And that's an important thing in the market. ARM for a dip buy, I don't know. It's also underneath VWAP. It's a good, like Starvin, technically making higher lows, but I'm not really thinking dip buy on this name. We have a lot of earnings to get to next week. I feel like there's going to be some jittery. And while the market is in this consolidation, I'd rather be long things that look more like Palantir than look like ARM on a Friday, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Like Palantir, higher lows into a flat top. Maybe you could go long on VWAP and it loses. Apple holding VWAP. I'd rather be in one of those than something like ARM, which looks a little bit weak at this point.
Yeah, no, I like that. A lot of people in the chat talking about how they were or what they were short going into that. Chill Vibes saying, I was in the Qs short at 464. So let's take a quick look at what Qs was doing at 464. I am curious. There's a little bit of a cover on the Ford. Ford holding VWAP as of right now, even through that Quadunk. That happened. Oh boy, got to add to my WM here. But you know what, we'll talk about this first. QQQs, right? Okay, QQQ short 464. Was it 464? Okay, nice, 464. So you were, okay, wow, you were sitting almost 2 points from before. Interesting.
Damn.
So you held 2 points against you, got a little bit of 2 points back. Nice, interesting. Little action there on the Qs. I didn't think that the Qs fell as much as this, but Softy's still coming in as well. But yeah, 50. I guess yeah. I'm watching the NASDAQ here. 50% retracement of the move there. So yeah, interesting stuff on the Qs. Who else? Let's see. Patrick saying I caught it all. 50 puts from near the top. Like whoa. Okay, cool. Puts on what? Market or I don't know.
I'm gonna assume the market.
Yeah, I guess.
I feel like if you don't say a stock, then you must have had you had to have been like the Qs or the SPY.
Market.
The market.
The market. Mr. Longshort saying short 2 minutes before the drop on TQs, 66.21. So let's take a quick look at TQs. Now I'm sure these tickers are going to be looking very similar. 66.20s. Damn, that's pretty much near the high. The high is 66.34, so it's just about 13 pennies off the high. 13 pennies off the high there on the TQs. So good stuff, Mr. Longshorts there. And yeah, okay, so let's take a look at that Walmart chart. Walmart, nice. Softy, not Walmart, Microsoft chart here, and see what I did. I didn't even have my my chart up for the most part. I was just looking at the book there. Let's take this wick out to 428. We'll go with 30. That's about right. Okay, cool. And the chart's going to crash. That's fine. I will pull up another. Got to open up the, oh, not that one. Open up another chart. Let's go. Come on. All right, cool. All right, so Softy, let me open that up again. And okay, hopefully the wick is still not there. Okay, perfect. The wick is not there. Beautiful.
Boom.
Okay, so right here, we talk about that. Let me confluence this with the charting that we did on Softy here. So I want to talk about this. Yeah, so 15-minute right there breaks the trend, retests the trend, which was support, now acting as a resistance. So the ticker's still bidding up, but now we're testing underneath that, acts as resistance. You can see it clear on the 3-minute chart here, acts as resistance, and then right there, boom. So as soon as that kind of broke and started to get weaker, I started to get short, and then a little bit more on the way down there. But again, it was very aggressive. I'm like, all right, well, this reversion trade, if the book is going to be that aggressive, in my mind, it turns into like a book, like a tape scalp. So I'm like, all right, as soon as a bid kind of steps back in, I'm starting to aggressively cover because I don't know if it's just going to do like a strong sell and then rip right back up just as aggressively. So I got a little aggressive, but something I do need to work on is like, all right, if we're going to sustain and those pops continue to get sold off and that sell pressure might be dissipated but still there, and we've been bidding up for over 2.5 hours, like I should be getting in more here at that 427. My average is 428. Right, so average is 428. I shorted above 427.5, above 428, and then above 428.5, giving the total position about a point and a half. I have 10% of ATR being about 2 point something points, so well within a reasonable risk limit when it comes to an ATR percentage. But again, getting more here, I would have never been out of the money as the average may have come down into 27 halves, right? So that's something I definitely got to do better at. Now we're trading at 25 halves, 2 points lower on that move. So much improvement is needed. But yeah, that sell came in real hot, man. Like let's think, people were saying,
you almost had to just
microsecond.
Yeah, like if you're sitting in something short, if you're sitting in something short like that, the best you're going to do is you're probably going to have maybe you have a take profit bid out. It's like, okay, cancel that. And then try not to get sweeped in the moment and then try to hold on to something. There's not much you can do about it when you have, like if you have scalp orders out, they just got filled. Like that's, like I can tell you that's exactly how I got out. Because
that's the only way you're getting those fills. You can't
no,
short on the way down.
Yeah, you can't. Like like you're in the short, like it broke, and then a second, like it was maybe, for myself, it was about 10, it was less than 1 minute after ARM broke trend that everything fell apart. And I had just gotten in and thrown, like I threw a bid at the 3/4 because that's what I do. You know, I'm like, oh, it's going to break the 49, but I was in this trade before in front of VWAP, and it held this line right here at 149.50. So the first thing I was thinking, oh, if it does this, it's going to be a stair step down. I'm just going to get out of most of it the first 75 cents. And then if it trends, I'll just find a way back in. Then the market just took everything out. I was out instantly. What are you going to do in that situation? You know, trail the rest because that's what you can do. And you just have to be ready. And if you are long, it's a good reason to trade with stops and have an idea where you're going to be wrong. There was a question I wanted to get to. You might have seen that I had a chart of Crowdstrike up there because I was asked if Crowdstrike was a good long-term buy. You know, I'm not here to, like, we're traders, not really here to give somebody like long-term financial advice. It's just not, it's not what I do. I can tell you that I was almost I was almost stink bidding Crowdstrike before the bad news. And I told, it was literally the day before, I was like, yeah, I was considering buying. I was talking to Sean, I'm like, yeah, I might sell some of my PanW and put some of that into Crowdstrike because I don't want to buy like a cybersecurity ETF. Maybe I'll put a little bit into something else and not be all in PanW. I didn't, and then when we came down to 265, I was like, well, if I half liked it up here, let's take a shot at it. So I have. That said, since that news, you have not made a defined bottom with a higher low. And here's what I mean. There's your first bottom at 260. It tries to get back above the first resistance level, 275. Fail. Hold the low? Nope. So we have another double bottom here now, a double bottom at 250. Has it broken back above 265, the next resistance level? So it's going stair step down still, right? You're getting defined high, defined low, broken, defined high, defined low. If you're catching a falling knife, why do it? Or you can get something which has the round, it's already making the bounce. It's already showing you that the buyers have stepped back into it and regained some semblance of control. So like, as a momentum's trade, it doesn't look like it's done that. And if it's going to go back up to like 350 bucks in the 50-period moving average, who cares if you're in at 75 or at 65? If one of them is on better volume. If you're just going to hold on to Crowdstrike forever, I can simply just tell you that I have bought some. But that's only because I'm probably willing to add to this position if it's down at 200. I'm not crying if it's in the 170s at all. So everyone has to treat their own book, and I think you got to be careful with it. It depends on your time horizon, your own risk. I think when you're catching a falling knife, better to let that sucker bounce than sit there like this, potentially getting hurt. So Palantir, still strong, still holding, and VWAP doesn't seem to want to get there. So this is now twice that it's bounced off of in front of 2710. So creatively enough, I think I'll just look for like a 1213 fill. And if we lose 10s, maybe wait for VWAP. But we could have it's a Friday afternoon. What if Palantir just wants to trade between 2710 and 2725 while maintaining a decent amount of volume? Well, then scalping it inside of the range will make a lot of sense. Well, I'm holding on for Microsoft to make the next breakdown, or for Nvidia, which isn't on the New Zealand market, despite what I just typed. Maybe we get VWAP on Nvidia. It had this one chance to short in and around 113.75. Now I just don't want to chase it down here. If it breaks 113, goes into a new range and sets up a different short, that's a different story for Nvidia. I just don't like compromising on price. They're in ARM. Yeah, ARM, maybe not at the VWAP just yet. But we're getting close. We're getting close. I think you want to be patient with these, just like anything else in trading. You can hold on to winners as they're going, trail them out, all that good stuff. But jumping in too early to a move is a good way to get yourself hurt. I've done it before. I've done it a million times. Getting into a move too early is just a recipe for, if it works out, you're going to do more of it, and then when it doesn't work, you're going to get burned. That's pretty much it. The market is more than willing to reward you for breaking your rules. That's the worst thing that can happen, is that you break your rules and get a win. Because then you're just going to, that same rule break, you're like, but I made money on it. You're just going to do it tomorrow. And if you do that tomorrow, you're going to end up losing on the trade. So whatever that is for you, I hope you trade safely, follow your plan. I like these VWAP retraces. If we're in a range, I want to trade the range. And if you see something breaking out of it, then tell me. Because I'm not seeing anything breaking or going crazy. I have my halt scanner up. Nothing's halted for like 2.5 hours in the market. I don't see any small cap runners that are going anywhere. I don't mind going over to them if we did. Like if something wants to X-Peng this afternoon, I'm perfectly happy. Like that would be great if we get an X-Peng moment. Like Xpeng, Robotaxi, that was the news, does one of those. If you don't get the up, you get the down. But yeah, something wants to make that kind of move, we're on it. Tobias, DJT, is it going? Not really. DJT would qualify if it wants to move, if it's going to do something explosive, but it's just a slow grind on DJT without a break of the high. So high or low, no break, that's like 31.60 needs to go, and then you've got room to rally to the upside. That's not bad. This is not bad to put on the radar. Like if this breaks out 31.60 on any kind of volume, that could really go. And Hog Rider, yeah, 3M is still going.
Wow, 3M's still going. Hey,
I mean, this is the thing.
That's a miss on my part. I don't even write it down.
Not just yours.
Top ideas,
No,
it definitely was.
We went over this.
Yeah, it was worthy of top idea.
Yeah, we went over this in the morning, 3M, and then went to other stocks.
Yeah.
And 3M was easily the one today.
Yeah, that was
easily.
It was the one. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But wow, Softy coming right back in. Oh my God.
Well, that was quick and Palantir.
Yeah, that selling is coming in.
In the split second
hard.
that Softy went from $1.50 to $2 in the money, Palantir lost 3 cents for me. But yeah. I might have been wicked out of Palantir.
Oh no.
Yeah, we were gonna talk about 3M, but that move in the market, we just broke support to the downside. And for my style of trading, 424 is the spot. Well, we're actually heavy into here. If we were gliding down to 424, I like that one. How about this one?
Okay, yeah.
If we were gliding down to 424, I'd just sit on the bid because I see a level like this and that's where I want to get out. Instead, I like to trail because we're not gliding down. We are free falling down. I have to cancel that stop and get a trail in. Like it's so crazy, like the way this ended up working out.
Yeah.
Like that's the better short.
Yeah, of course.
But then somehow this is the bigger move.
No, that I see. That's what I.
This is like
as well. Like
this is
short, right? Or you were short.
But I was short. I just covered on the trail because it bounced off 424. However, I also took this breakdown because remember it was consolidating. I'm like, oh, if I was short here and hadn't taken anything out, I'd be considering an add on a break with a stop up there. But then I realized, no, but Neil, you're not actually short from up there. You just have the breakdown. Am I really gonna hope that it holds that level by shorting the bottom? Well, that's stupid. Get out, Neil, and make a better trade. That's the other thing. Sometimes you've got to be like, this is a dumb entry here. That's a dumb entry. So just get out. And if you're gonna short off this level, short that level. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. Scalp to the bottom. If you can find a re-entry, you can find a re-entry. But yeah, with that move to the downside, guess what Palantir did? I knew you'd do this, Palantir. Right to VWAP. See, I compromise on VWAP, lose 3 cents. Palantir goes to VWAP and bounces. We were just talking about patience. Well, I got impatient with Palantir, and look what it just did. Look what it just did. Right off of VWAP. So Palantir is still strong, no question about it. I'll have to be a little bit more patient on the way back because now if I start chasing it at like 10s, the same thing is likely to happen to me. It can always break out the top, but VWAP is the way to go. Tesla, what's it doing? I don't know if I'll be back into Microsoft, to be honest with you. I think you just take that one and run it, pull back all the way into VWAP at this point. Yeah. Either it breaks it or I'm not sure that's a short anymore.
Gotta take
Tesla here, not bad.
You got to take these reversions to VWAP. Like it's like I'm getting too, I guess, emotional. That's definitely emotional trading. Like I'm like, oh, it's fast. I got to cover fast. Like no, that has nothing to do with what you want to do. Everything with what the market is doing right now. And yeah, no, I liked your trade there on Softy because that's the second part of the trade that I want to get into, which is like, all right, cool. Take this scalp. Take the tape scalp. Get cover when the tape changes. The bids start stepping up. But when there's no follow through, get short again for a potential continuation, because again, bigger picture, we are breaking a multi-hour trend, which did accelerate as well after holding VWAP. So definitely a lot of short-term players are involved. That's just an assumption on my part, but the price action is a little telling. But I see that somebody in the chat, was it Kyle W? They were like, oh, what does it mean by ATR percentages? Can you explain that? Sure, we can go through that real quick. So what is the ATR of SOFI? Again, there's multiple sources where you can check. I'm just checking it here on this website right here. What is the ATR? The ATR is 8.76. All right, cool, 8.76, 0.76. And I'm like, all right, what's a fair area to risk? Now, you can come up with whatever percentages that you want, right? But I like 10%, I like 25%, sometimes 15%. So I can just be like, all right, well, what is an acceptable level to risk in my own opinion? Now, again, this can be right or wrong depending on the situation, but again, you take a 10%, so 8.76 times 0.1 is 88 cents. So I'm like, all right, if I want a short or a long to make sense to me, I need to find a place where I can be risking 10% of the ATR or 15% of the ATR. So you can kind of play around with it, see what works for you, see what works with your style of trading, but that's what I mean by ATR percentages. And again, if you want to know how to calculate the ATR, again, you can look it up on Investopedia has a great page where it kind of breaks it down. You know, you take the absolute value of high-low close, and then you take the average of a different array. So if you want a 14 period, so you take 14 periods, and then you take the average of those true ranges there. So nice little nice little explanation.
You're messing with Ram at this point.
Yeah, Ram is just like, whoa. Here's the thing. You don't have to do all that. You can just search up what is the ATR of Microsoft, and it'll let you know, and then take your percentages off of that. But for those of you who want to look into it, delve into it deeper, there are sources where you can find the equations for some of these indicators. And again, I would always say that if you have an indicator on your chart, if you use an indicator, it's probably better to kind of understand the formula that it comes from so that you can also manipulate that formula if need be. Understand for discretion. I don't know.
I look at that the same. If you don't understand the indicator, look, I get it. If it works, and you back test something. But sometimes you might have to tweak it. That's why I like moving averages are very simple. Yeah. When I draw a trend line, it's very, very simple. I like support and resistance, so trend lines are an easy concept. But I liken it to this. Would you invest in a company if you didn't understand how they make money? Like I say that about like C3AI. I don't know what they do. I have no idea how that company makes any money. So no matter what the chart looks like, I will never invest in C3AI. Unless I change that. A part of that is I don't care that much to understand it because there's plenty of other things that you can buy out there. But yeah, obviously it makes sense. And I appreciate you going over that, Obi. Wow. This move, yeah, we just came right back. Like that move down in, broke the low, and the recovery was pretty distinct on a few things. So I'm looking at Apple right in here. Like Apple broke VWAP, wicked underneath what has been afternoon support the whole way since we had that drop, and is now holding back above. This is going to be a pretty key test. If Apple ends up holding on to this 217.75 again, this really should take out the top. It's kind of how I feel about Palantir. So those two still remain opportunities for longs. I keep glancing over at NVIDIA. NVIDIA did break 113, so broke down into a new range and has a chance to make a lower high now off of that range. Last time it was 113.5. Maybe it'll be the quarters. I'll let NVIDIA decide. When it starts doing this, I'll try to short when I start getting wicks like this. Maybe it is 113 here, and we'll go sideways, give a chance to short off the 113, play back into the low. That's what I'm waiting for on NVIDIA for a short. The same way I'm looking for maybe that opportunity for a long on Apple. Drop these into a couple of different buckets. I like the longs in one, I like the shorts in the other. Just have to see it actually set up. In the moment, I kind of feel like NVIDIA, oh, maybe not. Maybe NVIDIA is not going to be weak underneath this 113. But lower highs, I'm just going to pick my spot for sure. Tesla. Yeah, Tesla still looks pretty bad, but it's holding on to VWAP. It's a pretty big stair step down, but once you come into the bid, What are you going to do? Tesla bouncing off VWAP is a good way to go broke, shorting it at the bottom in the afternoon.
Yeah, no, definitely want to be on the right side of those.
It's got to be NVIDIA.
So VWAP. I am not doing too much. Chilling. Looking for the next trade. Reading the chat a little bit. People are talking about.
You can have some beers with the boys after?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is a Friday, but yeah, we shall see. I'm still in this WM trade here. We did break low a day. It's still trending down. 197.
Obi, that trade is trash, bro.
Nice. Nice. I like that. I'm about to take that trash out, though.
Boom.
All right. But yeah, no, I was just like, I definitely places to add on this that I missed out on, not in my full size, so I got to do better with that. But again, we were talking about it not doing as much volume in the morning, but it's done 1.4 million now, and I guess poised to do a little bit more with an hour and 10 minutes left in the day.
You should full screen and zoom that out so people get a better feel of what that trade really looks like.
Yeah, okay, cool. I just want to...
Did you have the daily chart up of waste management?
I do have I do have it up. I just want to take a piece right here first. So I'm going to do that. Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Interesting. Oh, it got me in between the spread. Nice. Okay, yeah, waste management. Okay, so let's pull up the daily chart here first so we can talk about this. And yeah, no, I was going through my scans last night. Kind of did some work. Again, we talk about how past couple of days have been not the best. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to put in some work. I'm going to put in some trades that really kind of like stand out. Like stuff falls into your lap during the day. We had that softy trade as well. But before I continue what I'm about to say, what's going on, Indira?
This part of the show brought to you by Benzinga Pro. If you feel lost in the noise of the market, then you need Benzinga Pro. Benzinga Pro cuts through the clutter and gives you the insights you need to make smarter, faster trades. From real-time news to unusual options activity, we'll show you exactly what's moving the market and why. Don't miss out on your chance to trade like a pro. Visit benzinga.com/pro to start your free trial today.
Thank you very much, sir. Just for anyone watching this MIRA stock, this just lost support. I'm going to have my eyes on this. Only about 4 million shares worth of volume, but you can see the consolidation break at 280. If it pops back in, I think I'm going to like this short. So you have a consolidation break, but it has not taken out this double bottom at 260 yet. Ideally, it would pop back and I could short into 80 instead of trying to get 260. And then it just occurred to me, probably have to pay for locates on this. Answer being yes. So I'm going to go ahead and get some locates, which I predict will be 1/8 of 1 cent per share at real trading, because it feels like it always is that cheap.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, might as well be free at that point, right? So it's like interesting.
I mean, it's a small cap. They charge, whatever. They're hard to borrow. They're going to charge something.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so waste management, daily chart here. So I got the replay on so we can see how it kind of built up going into earnings here. So a bit of a chop consolidation range. We got lows right here, 199s. Bit of a gap level here, 194 and change. The highs are at 214 as of right now. And prior day, if you guys know, we had some earnings there. So we ran up into earnings. Look at that aggressive run up, pushing into earnings. And then earnings comes out. Guess what? Boom, slam right down into earnings. So strong flush. So anybody and everybody who was bidding this up, plus the players who are playing the consolidation range breakout off of 214, so that's players who are offside. So I was like, all right, when I was doing my scans last night, I saw earnings day one. This day had not happened yet. So I'm like, all right, cool. We close. What's the close from yesterday right here? The close was 199.92, and then
lower.
I'm like, all right, what is the low of this candle? 198.88. So I'm like, all right, cool. Coming in today, if this ticker looks weak into that 199.88, I'm looking for all of these longs to be offside off of a apparently not so well taken earnings report, right? All right, so let's go back in. Yesterday, look at that closing, attempts to push, we fail. It is also SSR, right? Today, did it become into SSR? Actually, no, I lied. That's not SSR just yet. I thought this was an SSR one. Anyways, we're on the downtrend. We close near low a day. Coming in, 200 is right there as well. So I'm like, all right, cool. 198, 88s. I'm coming for you. If that looks weak, so we flush off the open 200 breakdown, and then we continue to flush to the downside with sell pressure kind of dominating on the day. So that's kind of like that's the daily chart, kind of the thesis behind it. Earnings day 2, looking for a trend continuation and players offside. So this is kind of how I took it today. Again, got to do much better on this because.
Are you sure? Are you sure there's players offside on that?
It's an assumption, but
you should check the VAR.
The tape is speaking volume.
No, you should check the VAR just to be sure.
Yeah, what's the VAR?
Oh, nothing. Okay, no, I keep forgetting you don't watch. No, it's you don't watch sports. It's
okay.
Yeah, in soccer with like the replay, the video replay, so like offside.
Okay, yeah. No, definitely. We saw a little bit of the replay just now. We saw everybody who was offside.
There you go.
So, flushing off of the open. 201s, great prices. 200s, like you got to be fast. But you got to remember, this ticker was not doing significant volume, barely any volume in the pre-market. But something that I do like to watch is relative volume, right? So sure, it's doing 20K, 30K, maybe even 100K volume, which if you're used to trading large caps, if you're even used to trading mid caps, that's not a lot of volume to work with. But take a look at this relative volume right here. It's doing over 1, so 1.4, 1.5, 1.7, 1.8 at times. So it's doing above 1 times relative volume on an earnings day 2. We break day 2 lows at 99.50s. That's where I like the short initially, right there, just at 99.50s, and then I take more here. But this is another one. It comes back up to 99.50s, Neil, and this is the place where I can be adding a lot more. I said I do not have all the size that I want, that I planned for on this trade. It comes right into 99.50s, rejects it, never gets above, and then fails VWAP again. So there's lower highs at VWAP where sellers are clearly showing their hand. VWAP sellers coming into the name. Again, multiple time frame longs, weeklies, I guess monthlies as well. All of them offside below that 198.88 price. And where is that price? That price is right here, 198.88. So you can see that lower high comes in right there. So I can and should be getting in the rest of my size on these lower highs to take it for the day low. Now again, I got in here and here, take it to the day low, but not enough size just yet. But you know what? With more reps, I'm sure that'll come with some time. But that was a trade on WM. But I guess the even bigger trade, in my opinion, was that softy kind of reversion where I can be really getting aggressive right here underneath that 427 consolidation here as well. Even the breakdown of that consolidation, the retest at 26 halves, doesn't really follow through. And then you get a nice little trend to the downside with a little bit of, I think it's a 1 point chop. But it does about 3-4 points to the downside. So again, that makes a lot of sense to me. To be risking a couple points to make at least a multitude of that, at least a high probability 1-to-1 after you've seen some strong price action on the chart. But yeah, that sell came in hot, man. And I was looking at the second chart here on Softy. Let's take a look at that 5-second chart to see how fast that selling actually came in.
There it is.
Is that a fly?
Yes, it is a fly. That's the same one.
Okay, anyways.
It's kind of big.
Yeah, I will pull up my chart here, 5-second chart. So yeah, that sell. So this is the charts I usually like have on the side here. So take a look at this. So that sell-off happened aggressively, again, with a little bit of expanding volume within 1 minute and 30 seconds. So these are 5-second candles. So that sell-off came in aggressively, 428s, 428, 427 halves, and all the way down to 426s as well. So coming in real hot with that selling. Now, I don't think it was news related, but again, I've heard this being said multiple times. Wow, we are back down at 19.1s here.
That's the bad one.
On the NQs. That's absolutely wild there.
That's the good one.
That's the bear. Yeah, that's the high definition bear.
No, there's like 2 bears. One of them is the budget bear, and the other one is the high quality bear. But I don't know. What would you call it? I couldn't come up with it. I couldn't come up with something funny for the bad animation.
Low res.
Low res?
Low res.
Yeah, that's
low res bear.
I'm down.
High res bear.
But the market just got back into these lows is what I was getting at. So Nvidia, we got Nvidia at 113. It just pulled down into 112.60. I'd already scalped some out. you need this break in. If we break this bottom, I think we see 112, and we can look for another entry that isn't the 113 level. At the same time as that's happening, Apple is retesting this under VWAP support. So sometimes VWAP, which is it's a line on a chart, everybody, and you look at it, like where's the actual? I'm just going to draw this here so you can see. Like where is the actual support since it broke out today? It's been right around 217.50. So VWAP's a nice line on the chart. It tends to want to close back above it, but it's been holding the line underneath 218 at the first half dollar. So if it can hold this and break back out, that would look a little bit good for Apple. But it's under some pressure. Oh, Palantir's back at VWAP as well. So PLTR did the over-under as well. So it broke VWAP. Came right back up. Now it's trying to hold the same low, just above $27. This might not be able to keep it, but if it does, I'm going to try this. If I'm going to get it, if it needs to hold above 5s and 6s here, somebody be a buyer up so I can join them and then give it to that local bottom at 2s. Not a lot of action in the stock. Wow, the volume is pretty low. So it's a pretty low volume bounce, at least for now. And it's already starting to give it back in. Like we're already back down into 4s on the bid, now 3s on the bid. So this is not looking awfully strong here on PLTR. Like you want to see it dip down and kind of immediately reject it. The buyers step up at 6 and 7, you buy like 8s and it goes to 17. Something like that is what I would look for. Instead, it's just hanging out on the offer. And a lot of times you'll hear me say a term like, I want to see the buyers join above X. That's what I'm getting at. And now they're starting to step in a little bit here. So there's some buyers at 3. I'm going to try and get some 4s. I just got 4s. It'll be a relatively tight stop. I know why risk 3 or 4 cents in a trade, because the range is 20 at best. It's 15 to 20 cents in a best case scenario for the range. So if I'm risking all the way down to here at 26.90, that's a trade for the morning when it can run all day long. And you can risk 15 pennies because Palantir can go $1. But this afternoon, the range is pretty tight, so my stop is likewise going to be pretty tight down here. So we're in the first long in a while, and we'll see what happens with PLTR. Still got that Nvidia, which is only now retesting that low, about 50 pennies in the money. But I think that's the kind of market we're in at this point, where you just got to look for that scalp trade and get what you can. Like Palantir, if it's going to give me a move, I'd rather take the paper cut and look for the bigger win than try to fight this too much. Like they might have just trapped me into that long, and I shouldn't let it break that low. But we'll let this one resolve itself. Chris L, I keep meaning to look at Enphase today. I haven't looked at that stock today. I've seen a few people posting about Enphase, and I haven't pulled it up even once. And I know those names have been moving quite a bit. You just don't usually trade them. It's a price point thing. There's always something that I feel better to trade than Enphase for some reason.
Yeah, it is power hour.
Oh, it is.
Entered the power
hour
of power.
And we're still bearish.
Yeah. We're literally wiping the whole day. That's beautiful. I mean, I don't know. Why don't I have the market reversion? Like, why am I getting in softy when I can get in like the DAC or the ES here? Right?
Because Microsoft will give you a bigger.
It's the same damn chart. Like, come on. Like, take the DAC, risk 70 points, and risk 70 points, make 200. Makes sense, right? 2 to 1. 2 to 1. Need more risk. All right. Cool. WM. Still holding 197s. Softy pulling into that VWAP right there. 424s incoming right there. So let's see what we do. 19 ones on the DAC.
Oh boy.
And a bit of a pullback through that 5 halves on the ES as well. So let's see if VWAP catches a little bit of a bid here on Softy. Again, the bid was very strong in the morning session. If the bid is real, where will it catch? VWAP buyers were very strong off of the open and off of this acceleration that we got as well. So my question becomes, who's going to win this battle right now? The sellers that quadunked and then started flushing right into VWAP here, or those VWAP buyers that kind of held the base of this acceleration, this trend up on the day? Do they show up again a little bit higher here, just on these 424s? Now, something I do like to do is take a look at the weekly chart just to see how the candles are printing. So let me just do this. We can go, I guess we can take a look at Softy. So this is the weekly chart here on Softy. So, Nice little healthy bar, about equal size to the week from before, roughly. Coming in and got a nice little top wick, got a nice little bottom wick right here on top of VWAP. Now we only have about 55 minutes left to trade. So how much further can price really travel in that time? I have no idea.
50 points.
But this candle looks good. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. The NASDAQ's 50 points from the low, so I'll just, you throw out a number like that. So end phase is, wow, it's just another example of what we were talking about here. Obi, look at this one.
Wow.
Look, I haven't even called this chart up, but it doesn't, like a lot of times you're like, okay, well, where do you choose to draw it from? Like you can choose to be like, this is the trend line after it double bottoms. You could go that route and then see when it breaks, it consolidates down. You could say after it holds on to VWAP, you want to draw it here, that bottom to that bottom. Well, look what happens. It doesn't matter. Like both of those, and it has to be something with a very strong move up. Like the more steep, the better. The steeper, the better. Whatever. Both of those work, I think. My English, fantastic, everybody. But yeah, you break the trend line. You draw it from the higher low. You draw it from the double bottom. Either way, you're going to end up with it breaks underneath. You see the first area of resistance. It never gets back above the trend line. This one maybe not as clean, but it does ride it for a bit, then fail. And if you're long, this is a great way to think about how to get out of a trade altogether. So someone was asking me, what do I think about end phase? I mean, at this point, I'm not shorted, so congratulations if you are. And if you're in a long, well, you've got some room to the bottom. That's at least true. The good news for end phase is it's not bad on the daily chart. The bad news is when you pull up the 15-minute chart, this kind of stinks. Like, look at the consolidation for a breakout. That's a failed breakout. Like I said, the good news is it still has support level like $2 or $3 down that you could hold on to. But you never want those fail breaks. Let's see how it responds next week, because you still have 115, 116 down there that it could always bounce off of, just from a technical point. So here's the VWAP bounce. Notice like the buyers came in, thankfully didn't break 27 there on Palantir. I should even be offering some teens, which makes some sense. There's a guy at 10. I'm offering 10. I should offer like 8 or 9 instead. So anyways, Palantir trying to bounce off of VWAP. Probably could have just got some 7s. I'm sitting at 8. I'm sitting at 12. And we'll see where it goes from there. NVIDIA still working to the downside. We got 60 in the money on this. Pennies, that is. Off that 113 level. Love when you go from a New York stock to a NASDAQ stock and hit enter too fast. That's what I do. So we're close to the bottom. Didn't really get any re-entry off this lower high, down around 112.80. So I might have to look for something underneath this bottom. If I'm going to get more, it has to, maybe it'll be like 112.60, and then I'll trail it out so that we can't actually lose on the overall trade. But that's where I'm thinking. Like, I didn't really get the ad in NVIDIA. I'm going to look for that opportunity, and it looks like it's going to try to give it to me. Is Palantir, first time the bounce didn't work. Why? Because I didn't give it to the level we wanted to. Second time, we get the bounce right in around VWAP in front of 27 even, and now it's working back into the upside. So ring the register there. Scalp trade, because that's what we're getting this afternoon. NVIDIA won't get to 90, Sean James said. Well, you know what? I grew up, I've already said this, I grew up with a dude named Sean James, my brother's older friend, and the guy was like a freak of an athlete. And I remember he kind of somewhat took me under his wing in track and field a little bit. He probably wouldn't even think about it that way, so maybe I should listen to him. I can't know for sure that it's not going to get back up here to reload the short. I don't know that for sure. I can just be patient and see if we get the opportunity at it. That's all. It might not get back there great because we're already short, but ideally I'd find a spot to be able to get more. With less than an hour to go, you're starting to get in that time frame where you're setting up your last trades. I feel like it's just going to be NVIDIA and Palantir for me after Apple. You could take Apple too, but is Apple vastly different from Palantir? Basically the same. You know, dipping just underneath VWAP, strong relative to the market. Market bounces, maybe it runs the high. You know, Palantir is just a cheaper stock with a similar setup, I think.
Neil, I got a question for you.
Yes.
So I'm pulling up. So I had the weeklies pulled up, right? This is softy on the weekly. You know what? I think this is the trend from today. I hide that one because it's in the way. All right, cool. So that's the weekly, right? Hide this one as well. This is irrelevant right now. So next week, what are you thinking about next week?
I'm
So
thinking
this
I should
week-
log in and buy Microsoft.
This week, look, like this is 2023
No, I'm not gonna
lows.
do that.
So this is the beginning of the year. This is January 3rd. Was that the first trading day? Yes, it was. So first trading day of the year, we started this bid on SOFI. Today, we're coming into the trend. Now, we've come into the trend multiple times during the year, once in March, a couple times.
Obi, what's the
in
bottom of that
October.
trend line?
Down here?
Yes.
221.
Sorry, no, the one from today.
Right here. That's the day low.
It's literally today's low.
Like, it's in that area. I might be doing some line fitting, but like, it's the area. Just under 420, 417, plus minus 3 or 4 points. It's a $400 ticker, right?
So it could have had the low of the day today, Mike.
I mean,
Damn.
yeah, I don't know about that, but like, it's like, I'm just putting this on and it happens to, you know, be there. It happens to work for now, but it's worked multiple times over again. So the question becomes, yeah, we're like, okay, well, you know, tech is pulling back aggressive for the past 3 weeks. We're like, okay, is this a bear market? Coming into next week, I might want to be a little bit more nimble.
If it
If that bid
closes,
takes back up.
if it closes underneath that, get the you-know-what out of
Yeah,
Dodge in
very
terms
clear.
of finding bids. I'm going to be favoring shorts in Microsoft if it gets underneath that. No, it's jokes because that bottom got made at 9:30.
Looks very similar to the reversion on intraday's Microsoft.
That's
today.
insane. Look, man, if Microsoft doesn't hold on to that trend line, it looks pretty nasty. And I think you see, like, I'm not going to draw the same trend line he did,
Yearly trend line.
but if you open up underneath it, we're going to see the 200-period moving average on Microsoft. Now, keep in mind, it's not just any week next week, right? It's all we get we get all the earnings next week. It's not just, we get 4 of the major names on earnings. It's not just SOFI. So it's going to be a big week of earnings, and that would be a heck of a time to lose a trend like that. It would not, I stress, not be good. It's a buying opportunity, I suppose, if you have a long enough time frame, but yeah, that looks a little bit nasty. Palantir won't print 12s. It's at 12s, but it's not actually printing 12s. It's just sitting here. There's a bunch of dark pool prints coming off the bid at 11, and nothing's hitting the offer. Shout out to you, Adrian. You're right. Someone said thank you for NVIDIA, but maybe we should have just taken both the longs. Don't want blue ocean. Apple, just like Palantir there, is going to end up holding that trend. And again, not about VWAP. It was about that 217.5. A lot of times you'll get, like, here's it holding VWAP before, there's it kind of holding VWAP, but after that move in the futures to the downside and that secondary push, you begin to notice where the actual support is and where it might have been but is no longer. So you could have that long underneath 218 as opposed to above 218, which is going to make you 50 extra cents. That matters. If you do that every single time, it goes to the top and you're like, I got a $2 winner, who cares? But it does matter. If the extra 50 cents on that trade, on average, like the difference between Palantir 27.10 long and 27.04 long or 03 long, that's going to make a difference. If it gets to the high of the day, you're probably not going to care as much. And if we get to the high of the day, I'm getting out. Just to keep that abundantly obvious. With only 40 minutes to go, 37 till we get the imbalances, and an inside range, stair step up, buy the dip at a better level. I could have drawn a trend here from the bottom as well, because that seems like something we've been doing over and over again. Now, usually I want to fit it to somewhere inside of a stupid wick like that and give it to that one. But again, holding the trend to the upside, so why be long there? Get out of stupid long to make a better long. Or stupid trade to make a better trade is the way I said it before. If you have a trade that is not good, you don't have to hold it all the way back into where it's going to be better. You can just get out of it and then trade it where it's going to be better.
Yeah, it's something I definitely have to do better with. Being nimble, right? Being nimble with your positioning, being self-aware of, like, okay, well, you know.
And quick too. Nimble and quick.
Got to be nimble and quick.
Yeah.
For sure. And yeah, a little bit of a bounce happening here on SOFI. 424 bouncing past 425, 425 halves coming in. So are we reverting the reversion off of a VWAP bounce? I have no idea, but the market is bouncing.
You can't revert a reversion.
No, reversion of reversions happen all the time. Because you have a strong move, you revert that move, and then that was the reversion.
You got to call something
revert
else.
that reversion.
But nobody says
It's just
it
price action. It's just,
Yeah.
you know, it just happens. Yeah, it just happens.
I feel like we're dancing over here. Apple is rocking up there, Adrian, but I got the eyeballs. Yeah, the market just made a bounce. Okay, there it is. just to give you an idea of, I'll give you the reason we couldn't break the low on Nvidia, but then the market starts making that bit of a bounce play. So instead of trailing it to 60, yeah, of course, right when I decide that I'm getting out and going to try to add back at 13, Nvidia's going to want to break down. Again, always trade your own style. I tend to be let's just get out when it looks like it's not good anymore, and then we go lower. So if somebody held on to Nvidia, you're definitely more bearish on this name than I am. Because the other thing that's happening is Nvidia down here is like are we going to be green or red story? So it's at that point where I'd need to see confirmation underneath 112 anyways. So I'm probably talking an extra 20 cents, and we might just get it.
Nvidia
I got to go over. Yeah, now it's at the low of the day. I got to go over to like AMD, because if we're breaking the low and it's going to drag something with it, can I get AMD or ARM is the first question I'm thinking. ARM's at the low of the day as well. AMD is not. Okay. Might be able to pick up AMD. But on the low break, look at it go. Might be able to get ARM as well.
Yeah, I guess Nvidia day low. I'm looking. I have a little bit of like a chip basket kind of watch here. Just 8 tickers that I kind of look at for when it comes to chips. And yeah, SMH at day low, Nvidia at day low. Intel not really. AMD.
Where's Intel?
Really, AMD is making a higher low roughly.
No, Intel.
Intel's at 31.21.
I just went for a break on AMD, which is probably not going to work. Intel's in the middle of nowhere as well.
On this ticker, so I should probably get out of this one here. Waste management. Finally, there's some tape speed happening on waste management all day. It's not really been there in terms of speed and aggression or anything like that. But some bid catching here on WM. Again, with only about 45 minutes left. Let's see how far this thing will get. But Nvidia coming into the day low there, breaking below. What was that day low prior to this? If I can just...
Well, it's lower now.
112. 112.01. We're 20 pennies below 112, a quarter below, printing 75s on the bid as of right now. So a little bit of aggression to the downside happening here on some of these chip names. See what Apple is up to. Spider is at 543.65, so hasn't really reached its day low at 541 halves. Softy still strong, man. Softy's holding that VWAP as of right now, with Nvidia selling off, making some fresh lows there. We are below prior day's closing price as well as of right now here on the Nvidia. So interesting stuff nonetheless.
The
Nvidia, yes. So we're trading 20 pennies below. I was looking to punch that day low. But it didn't really, I guess, go as aggressive as I was looking for as of right now. But we have been downtrending. So
you don't want this to reverse off that.
The thing is, like something recently, like I've I guess learned was if we're in a bit of a downtrend, things might take a little bit longer to kind of pan out if you're trying to go with that trend versus if it's a counter trend, it should probably happen much faster there. On that.
Yeah, when something reverses, remember you have You have longs you have longs covering on mass, and you have shorts initiating.
Oh boy,
that's kind of one of the reasons. So you saw me get out of Nvidia before it broke the low of the day, and then mutter about whether I could get ARM or AMD. Well, we couldn't get AMD up there, but when Nvidia broke the low of the day, you were essentially just breaking here. So I got short on AMD because I was looking for something that hadn't made the move just yet. So scalped it into 139. I went first to ARM, but ARM hasn't broken this yet and is not moving. So ARM is like watching, I know this is like a 50-cent range, but like the tape is doing absolutely nothing right now. But that's why I'm not into ARM, which looks pretty good. But I gotta have eyeballs on Nvidia. Like, look at this. We get out of Nvidia, AMD does half the move. We gotta look for a pop to short. We're underneath the bottom now. You still do have a chance that you can hold on to some of the bigger dip in the aftermarket for Nvidia, but you're now red on the session. You did end up going green to red, and Nvidia has a way of dragging things along with it. And so with that, I'm gonna pop back over to Palantir because I do have, like, we got that long off VWAP. We're able to get some out. Okay, the 15 minutes not gonna be that useful for Palantir, but it just came right back into VWAP and bounced temporarily. So the way the market's going, if it gets back to that lower high that we just took at 12, I'm just going to get out of it there, move my stop up a little bit so we can't lose on the trade. So we can't do anything worse than break even on the last that I have here in Palantir because I'm not going to let it get to that point again. The way the market's going, don't want to lose that way. I'd rather be a little bit more cautious. So get out, take the scalp trade that it's going to give us, and if the market's going to trend down, unless NVIDIA makes a recovery, I don't want to get wrapped up in a long when yesterday, you guys all saw what happened if you were watching the show yesterday. I don't care how strong the stock was or what you were looking at. It probably tanked in the last 30 minutes. That's Palantir. You already saw what happened to Google. NVIDIA, I don't know if I showed it, but NVIDIA as well. Like once you hit like 330, there was no bid to be found anywhere. So let's find some shorts. If we can get back into NVIDIA on a fail of 112, maybe. Otherwise, I'm going to stick with AMD and possibly ARM. Maybe ARM.
Yeah, so NVIDIA is not really doing too much here yet. But again, with about 40 minutes left in the trading day, this could continue to kind of just trickle down as we have been post that, what is that? When was it? 130, sorry. Yeah, 133 I have here on the 3-minute chart. That strong sell that came into the market. Was it 133? Hold on. Yeah, it was. So 133, that strong sell comes in the market. We've been only downtrending there, rejected VWAP. And then continuing to trade. Here we go, reclaim of that 112 there, Neil. So we are back above that high of, not high a day, low a day that we broke below on NVIDIA. So let's see if that trend kind of comes back in, if sellers are still in charge going into the last half hour, not just yet, but the last 40 minutes-ish, but half hour until the imbalances. And I'm just looking around to see what might be the next trade. Can I take a quick scalp? But again, nothing really happening. Like maybe, false break of day low, potentially. I'm getting that idea.
Yeah,
right
like
now.
if it did just do that.
Yeah, a false breakup day low, and then we just close flat by just trending all the way up to VWAP in the next 40 minutes. I don't know. It's one of the possibilities. Or we could go down, or we could go sideways. So it's like it's one or the other of those three. And nothing too crazy as of right now as we're holding that 112. But yeah, let me know in the chat what you guys are looking at. I see a few people were talking about Meta, and Meta, I have not looked at Meta today. Let's take a quick look at what Meta is up to. So, all right, cool, interesting. Wow, okay. Take a look at this 460 hold. You know, it was doing a pretty tight consolidation in the morning.
It was
465 to 460 clean. It gives it to you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times before breaking out.
It looks like a pusher.
I need a range finding scanner.
Too soon. No?
What?
Oh, a rangefinder? Okay.
Rangefinder?
You know what a rangefinder is, right?
That's for fishing.
I mean, yeah, it's for a lot of things, but like, I mean, rangefinder, use it for golf as well, or like bad people might use it for other things, like what just recently happened, like with the assassination attempt. The guy had
is that a thing?
The guy's walking around with a rangefinder where the ex-president is going to be.
That was wild. Yeah.
I
didn't know that was a thing. I know it from like I guess fishing. I guess.
I'm just simply saying, like, maybe that's a little suspicious. Maybe. I don't care how you lean. Like, I'm just saying, man. Like, if someone was tasked with protecting me, I would hope that they would consider that to be suspicious, because I ain't trying to go out like that.
Yeah, it was crazy. They saw the dude from before and nothing happened. Even called it in, but no. I don't know. I was reading up on that. There's some sketchy stuff as well. It'd be like, fire them all. Like, what are you doing?
I guarantee you that couldn't, like, you know what? You know, you just like, I wouldn't get away. I know that couldn't work if I tried it. That's for darn sure. I get arrested on sight. Come on, with a rangefinder, just chilling around. Okay, yeah, that's all perfectly normal. But what I saw for this stock in the morning, and the same thing that you're talking about, when I was saying it looks like a push, it looks almost like someone was manipulating Meta this morning. You do not usually see this outside of there is an algo that is completely in control of this stock. That's why you see a level like that. Couldn't break 465, then the sellers are obviously there and the buyers are just chilling out there. Whenever something like this happens, I wasn't watching Meta. Once it starts to do something different, you'll want to be in a general sense. Once it's doing something different, be in that direction. So same bottom, same top, all of a sudden it's got a different bottom, you want to be long. I don't know where, but you want to be long, because this is not going to do this. Like it's the entirety of the morning show from 9:30 to 11 o'clock, it did that same move. and then all of a sudden at noon it wants to hold VWAP. I don't care where you want to be long. If it's the breakout, if it's this long, if it's that long, maybe that's too early. If it's that long, if it's the breakout. Wow, unbelievable. So 465, we should track on Monday. For sure. Because like when it shows you a level like this and the 460 level, and the 460 level, both of those. Maybe you get something, maybe we get something on Monday. If you get something today, I don't know. I don't really love the long that much. Even with the false breakdown, like it's crazy. Like I'm out of the Palantir long. I'm not falling in love with the long. The second that we broke above, like look at this. This punch out seems random, but that was the moment Nvidia retook 112. I was like, I'm short this as long as Nvidia is underneath 112. If Nvidia broke down, I was adding to this position to get the low of the day. Instead, Nvidia goes above 112 and we go back higher. You could have just punched long and reversed, yet I didn't believe in the long. And here comes VWAP now. Yeah, Hydration Nation, I've already finished my water. I need a refill.
Yeah, that false break is coming in real hot there. 112 halves testing right now. Let's watch some of this NVIDIA tape together. But not on the Amex, on the DAC. Thank you. I am good, thank you. I got some right here. Yeah, still got half a cup right there. Wow, we're trading all the way up 75s. Oh boy, so we reclaimed the dollar. We're up about a point off of these lows there. 111.60s are those lows. We are trading at 112.80s, 112.75s. See if we can print that last quarter before 113. That was a false break, and I was a little too busy, a little too distracted to kind of take that right trade. It's funny, you were saying this earlier. I was instead of talking about the trade, why don't you take it first and then talk about it? Oh, I know, because before you know it, there's 300 lots right there at that 112.85. Let's see if Buddy gets taken out. Let's throw up a size filter right here so you guys can see it as well. And as I was putting that on, Buddy got taken out at those 85s. So interesting stuff. We took out some size on the ask, so the demand definitely a little bit there. Right back into VWAP. Where is VWAP? Here on NVIDIA, I got to check my other chart right here. Open up.
Now we're flying to the upside now.
What's happening? VWAP at 113.77, so about a point away from VWAP right there as of right now. But Neil, a ticker that I am definitely going to be watching on Amazon. Monday.
No.
I love how fast that was. I'm definitely going to be watching. He goes, Amazon. Maybe I might be watching Amazon. I watch Amazon every day. It's part of the basket, but. Not really, I guess, in play right now. But
3M.
3M for earnings day 2. Take a look at this. This thing is poised to close near high a day there. 126.40s is high a day. We're trading at 125.60s as of right now. We are trading above VWAP. We are trading above multi-time frame resistance here. Take a look at this. This was the trade. This was the trade to be had today, and I am disappointed at myself for not having even a piece of this on the day. And yeah, so 111s, what did we open up at today? Let me take a quick check here. So we opened up today at 112.69. So let's go back to the weekly right here. So 112.69, hello, 112, so 112 right there. And then look at that prior high. We open up above this prior high, and then we basically rip all the way up to the next resistance, which is sitting at 127.33. So sure, we didn't quite get right there, but we were talking about this. Look at this volume. This is outlier volume that happened in this flush. These volume bars are bigger than any of the volume bars that Triple M has had since inception. Since inception in, when is this? Keep going back.
I don't think you get to call it
1962. 1962. Since then, these are the strongest candles that this ticker has had, and we just wiped that price action right back up, and we are poised to close in and around just underneath that prior high at that 127, in and around where that volume kind of transacted at. So coming into Monday, I like this one. This is going to be interesting. Let's see if we get that continuation. I have no idea what it's going to do, but it's definitely in play and on watch as an earnings day 2 name that closes very strong off of the open, continuation of trend above VWAP, holding moving averages, and closing near high of day on Triple M. So that's potentially the next trade here. I'm still holding on to
Triple M sounds like a wrestler.
Triple M.
Yes, it sounds like, because it's like Triple H. Well, it's 3M. I don't know. But
or a rapper?
Triple H?
Triple M? Triple H?
Triple M? It could be. I said wrestler because of Triple H.
Okay.
The wrestler.
Yeah. I think I've heard the name before.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
See? There you go.
I know some things.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley, everybody. 149 on ARM just came in, so that just happened. Remember like 2 seconds ago, and by 2 seconds I mean like 6 or 7 minutes ago when we're thinking breakdown? Well, if you're not going to break down the bottom, you can at least try shorting the top. It's hilarious because I don't have any longs. Obviously, good job, Neil. I have no choice but to show you this. Okay, so Palantir, ARM is coming back into the downside, yada, 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 shorted it when it failed the break of 149. That's obviously this high. That's where I entered the trade when the whole market went kaputs. But I have to show you what happened in Palantir because it's too funny. There we go, PLTR. There we go. So Palantir, the second I got filled was exactly where you wanted to add to the long, and then it got all the way to the high. So Palantir does get from 27 to the high of the day. It just did so without me. But, you got half the trade, and then you move on to the next one. And the next one was the thing that was at a price that I liked that I wanted to short. And there were 3 of them. It was AMD, NVIDIA, and ARM. ARM's the one that was right at the price. So that's the one I took. Let's go over to the screen. I believe Adara has some names to look at.
We did have, of course, some outside strength across the board in the market today, but there are some names moving on catalysts worth mentioning. A lot of these are going to be biotech-based and or earnings plays. One of them here is Biogen, BIIB. This one trading lower here after the European Medicines Agency decided against its Alzheimer's treatment here. So not a positive opinion on Biogen's Alzheimer's treatment, setting this one down about 7%. Another biotech name, BMY, Bristol Myers Squibb. This one is an earnings name. Still up near high days, up more than 10% on the day. They beat across the board and raised their 2024 EPS guidance. So good look for BMY. Last but not least here, Dexcom, decidedly to the downside. They had lower than expected Q3 and fiscal 2024 revenue forecast. They beat on EPS but missed on sales for the quarter as well. So DXCM not really recovering, down 41% right now, guys. Quite an interesting day.
Yeah, that ticker was top of my, or not top of my list, definitely top 3.
The Dexcom 5.
DXCM. Yeah, I didn't even look at it after the morning session.
I always forget, like DEFCON, is it like higher level is high? Like DEFCON 1, is that like the lowest alert level and then 5 is the highest, or is it the other way around? I never remember that.
I don't remember.
Because the funny thing, I was going to make a pun about that, like they take it the whole way, but then I completely forgot which way the scale went. So I'm not American. You guys are, if you're in the US, you probably know that. As a Canadian, I have some knowledge of what goes on down south. Obviously, we have to. But I always forget that one. You guys will let me know in a second. We got to get back to the trading, which means, okay, the market's not actually red. I just like when things flip from going up to going down, I like hitting that one sometimes. So we went over to ARM, which was at 149. There is your wick at the exact same place that it did it before. So there is your wick reversal. ARM goes to the exact same place and does the exact same wick. Maybe it does the same reversal. Probably not, because that's not always how the market works. But 148 was support. 147.50 was support. Like the initial push has already happened. So now it's a matter of whether it gets to here or it gets to there. So try to ring the register. This is one of those afternoons where it's just a range bound afternoon. So if you find a range, try to trade it. It's not going to look like the greatest exit here on NVIDIA. And possibly I could have shorted 113 on NVIDIA again, but I happened to have ARM up in the moment, and NVIDIA was all over. Man, it's just right back at that 113 level. Who said we weren't getting back to 112.80?
Yeah, no.
Someone said that in the chat. I was actually believing it wasn't going to happen either. That's why I'm in ARM, but apparently it did. So there you go. NVIDIA working back to the downside. You had to find it. Okay, so it is so Kyle W says 2 is the missiles are flying, DEFCON 1, they have landed. So DEFCON 1 is like the worst case scenario.
Oh, okay.
So that Dexcom stock is probably at like 2 or 3 or something like that. Good to know. I didn't know that one. And you learn something every single day.
It has definitely landed. Let's say that.
Well, has it landed yet?
Well, I don't know.
Landed if you make a bottom.
Yeah, it's kind of making a little bit of a bottom with whatever limited information's been.
Attaboy, Daryl Flinch.
62.30s.
See, somebody shorted NVIDIA at 113. Daryl Flinch in the chat will hit the bang for you. You shorted at 113. There's 113. Everything popped back into where it made sense to short, and then you short that level. I'm willing to bet AMD probably went right to VWAP. Yup, look at AMD. Right to VWAP, same wick, same result. It doesn't even matter which one of these chip names you were looking at. All did the same thing. Just take one of them, and you're good to go. You're going to get that big move down in. You're going to get that buck, whatever you certainly fancy. The early look on the imbalances has dropped past 330. Ford's a small buy. Whatever the heck, BN, 2 million to buy. NU. They're the, what is it, the Brazilian SOFI, I believe that's NU. 1 million to buy as well. So not gigantic and no big cap tech names that we are going to care too much about. But just because there isn't an early imbalance on something doesn't mean you won't see an imbalance on, say, Nvidia. We've seen imbalances on Nvidia almost every single day in the 2 to 3 million range. They've tended to have some kind of a move in the market for Nvidia, at least specifically. Robbie V, CTA selling in the last 30 minutes into the close. I certainly feel like we're dropping into the downside, man. You know, and it's part of the reason why I got out shallow on Palantir and why I don't even want this reloaded VWAP. I just feel we dropped yesterday heavily. The market overall has been in a bit of a pullback. Like when you look at let's look at the cues. I should always finish the thought. Like it's easy to gloss over these things. I do it all the time because I know the full thought in my head and then I don't end up saying it to everybody because I'll just do like the short version of it as I'm going to load up the cues here, yada, yada, yada. You know what, 15-minute chart's going to show me everything to make the point. So if I look at the cues, you had the monster, everything is dying day, right? So we broke down, there we go. We broke down support. And there was the bounce zone at the close. It was right in here. Same high rejection, lower high rejection, dump at the close yesterday. So I just tend to think bearish when I see that. Now you can go both ways and see that as higher lows and breaking out. But I always go back to, well, what is the theme of how we're ending the week? And the theme is we're ending in a breakdown. So I'd rather just play with that. And if we're trending from there, look at those lower highs and respect them. Short, weak stocks, as opposed to when you're in that kind of a range, go long. Both work because we're making a tighter range. But I tend to favor one or the other every single time. And it's just, well, we broke down on the future. A lot of things are coming off of highs. You've got monster earnings next week. So there's going to be some trepidation there because Tesla and Alphabet certainly didn't do what everyone wanted them to unless you were short going into it. So I think there's going to be some pressure on those earnings. That's the idea why I just prefer the short going into the final 15 minutes of the day. But speaking of the end of the day, make sure you stick around because the market recap show has our friend Ryan Faluna going to be jumping in again. And the interesting thing about Ryan is I think he's the only guest that we've had, outside of Michael Noss at times, that is actually active in some of the smaller cap type movers. He actually trades them. So if you have questions about that, make sure you stick around, throw them in there, because it's fun to be able to talk to a guest. A lot of times we're just talking big cap tech, which is great, or some of the bigger, more important names out there in the market, but there's lots of trades out there. You don't have to always be trading the Magnificent Seven. You know, everyone has their own trading style. I say candidly, I made my first bones trading penny stocks. I didn't stick there forever, but that's where I started to get in my checks. And you know what? They cashed them all the same. And it might not have been, it wasn't as cool talking about it at the bar, but you know, you still could pay for drinks. That's the way to think about it.
Yeah, I like that.
No, it's true. Like, trust me, like nobody thinks it's cool to trade penny stocks. Absolutely nobody.
Penny stocks are pretty cool, man.
No, like it was one of those like even
they're
other
really competitive.
There were other traders that would be like I'd go out for drinks with traders at other offices sometimes, and they're like, yeah, what are you trading? I'm like, I traded this and this, like penny stock. They're like, well, that's not real trading. Okay.
Is there a bid? Is there an ask? Does it follow supply demand mechanics?
Yes, exactly. That's my whole point. I didn't care. I was young. I was just happy to be making money, man.
Come on.
Let's be real.
Come on. Does it draw candles on a chart? We can work with that. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm just
JDSU.
What?
Freddie, the friendly guy. Yeah, of course I traded JDSU.
JDSU? Why does that sound familiar?
So if you're a real old head, and no one's going to get this, and if you do, you know what I'm talking about. I was the king of using the track gateway. I was that dude. Like if I was putting track orders on the stock, then I was doing enough volume to be a market maker on a couple of stocks, and I was the track gateway guy. Most of you probably won't be able to get that, but I'm now talking about 2004, 2005. So it's like way, way, way back when. Yeah, that was me.
VIV Solutions.
They what in the who now?
JDSU. I mean, yeah, you probably know about the ticker. I mean, a lot of times, like I don't even know what the company is. I just know the tickers.
Well,
but,
this
JDSU VIV Solutions.
Well, I should preface this. By the way, we're breaking back to break even. The market's bouncing a bit. I should preface that. Penny stocks now are vastly different from penny stocks in the early 2000s because penny stocks in the early 2000s were all of those big tech names that died during the dot-com bubble, right? So they burst in the dot-com bubble. So they had all these like big companies that now were trading, in the low dollars or underneath a buck. They had big market caps, but were like trading really cheap. So they're doing a ton of volume. And so lots of people were trading them. And I found the ones that were just a little bit smaller than that were doing great volume that all the big players weren't on. And so I was trading a bunch of those. And that's how I made my first bonus. It's not the same thing now. Now, you do catch some of the weed names go down, and then a bunch of those end up doing pretty good volume, but they're smaller. But you get way more reverse splitting these days, so you can't trade them as long, and they're not as cool when they reverse split. I'm looking at you, Virgin Galactic. But yeah, it was just a different time back then. The dot-com, in every market gives you something different. The dot-com bubble lent to things like WorldCom and things like ICG. Internet Capital Group was like the first stock that I ever had like a big win on. It was ICG. I'll never forget it. It was the first stock that I got shut down on as well, Internet Capital Group. And there was like a penny stock that did like hundreds of millions of shares of volume on a daily basis. You had some of the EV names do stuff like that with Mullen, when Mullen was doing nearly 1 billion shares in a day. So you look for the things that were huge then failed, and there was an opportunity to do market making, which is like bid ask, while getting some growth out of the stock. And then you had the financial bubble. Coming out of that, everybody traded the banks. Like you just, for like a year, you were just only trading financial stocks most of the time. And that's what it's all about. You just try to get whatever you can out of the market. So what goes up must come down. What goes down must come up. With only 15 minutes to go, ARM, I had a trail out right at break even, thinking we're not going to see that. We're going to see this. But I should have just popped out at the 148 level. But it is what it is. I don't know if we'll have anything else. It's such a finicky market at this point. Like, what are the actual odds that we're going to get another pull back into the low, bounce off the high again? It's weird. Like, it only works so many times. And I shorted Nvidia first. It's like, okay, we short Nvidia when it goes up to the top. That's coming right back in. We short ARM. We short AMD. We long Palantir. And even that's like holding the bid. So pretty much everything that you started off with, you could still be doing. It's wild there as well. Ari Pages, shout out to you. Appreciate the respect, your honesty, and your self-development. You have to be. In the trading game, you really, 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 really have to be honest. I'll take it a step further. When I was a trainee, I wasn't trading penny stocks or small caps. I was trading Oracle, AMAT, Intel, and maybe like Microsoft, maybe like Cisco. Like I was trading like a small group, like a 5 or 6, at the time, big cap tech names. Which one of those is still cool? Microsoft. And I was drawing trend lines and I was doing momentum trading, still trying to work support and resistance, but that's not where I made my first bones. What first made sense to me was penny stocks, then gravitating to things like Sienna that traded $4 or $5 at the time, or 140, then eventually Siri traded like 3 or 4, moved on to those, and then eventually trading other things. But yeah, that's what it's all about. Like, do your progression. You never know where you're going to start, but you have to make a base somewhere. Trader needs a foundation and a bankroll. Without those, you're not going anywhere. Because when times get tough, you need something you can lean on. And that first strategy that starts working for you, maybe it's the mean reversion, like Obi.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Like, no two traders are going to have the same journey. So you can't expect yours to be mine, or mine to be Obi's, or mine to be Sean's, or Sean's to be Adara's, or Sharif's, or anybody here at Real Trading. But that's the whole point. That's what Real Trading is about. We have every single market out there. You have all different kinds of stocks. You can go long, you can go short, you can trade futures, you can trade crypto, whatever is your fancy and whatever clicks for you. hopefully go out there and make money with it, and but just be disciplined about it, right? Because without disciplined trading, you're in a world of hurt. I was not on YouTube before Trader TV. I've been trading for 20 years, but Trader TV is like the first. Yeah, like I'm not. Yeah, I was absolutely, and I wasn't even the type either. That's the other thing. Sean's the type. I was not the type. Like without Trader TV, there's no chance that I would be on YouTube. Believe me.
Yeah, no, I would I guess never thunk, but trading definitely I like a lot. No, but thank you for kind of reiterating that and explaining that, Neil. That's definitely very, very key to maintaining a successful and long trading career, it would seem. And yeah, no, definitely you've been here for a very, very long time. So I will take that advice to heart. Thank you for that. But yeah, no, I'm kind of I'm looking at my Ford. I don't have too much left here, and it's just been consolidating on top of VWAP there for I guess over 2 hours, almost over 2 hours here. We got that sell off around 1. Let's say about an hour and a half roughly. We've been consolidating, holding this 1120, 1121 mark here. And I only have breadcrumbs left from what I had before. Definitely can be taking a lot more on the way down. That's something I do have to get better with here. But yeah, WM taking a little bit of a sell-off into the close. It's funny how the block boys were not around, and then in the last 30 minutes, block boys start showing up on the tape as well. So interesting action there on waste management. Let's see what else is going on here. Let me check the tech basket. Nvidia is back underneath that 113 mark there. So can't get past that 113 as of right now. I see that you have the imbalances up, the early looks. We've got 4 minutes left for that for those imbalances to come out. See what else is going on here. So Dexcom sideways, AZN, AstraZeneca never really, attempting to break day low. We bounced off a day low, but it hasn't really gone anywhere. RCL was another one on my watch for earnings day 2. It seems like VWAP selling is the play there, or was the play, as it's held below VWAP pretty much all day there. Let's see what else. Allstate, we talked about Allstate maybe potentially being something. They had a, what was it? They had an intraday catalyst coming into the end of day. I didn't really.
Whoa, what the heck happened to Allstate?
Yeah, exactly. That's what. So I was like that. I had it. I was doing some scans last night. And I was like, something happened to this. I'm looking for continuation to the downside, but we didn't really do much there as well.
Hold on. So you guys can't hear Fabian and Ramin in our ears, as I'm like, what the heck happened to Allstate? And he said they actually paid out insurance for once. See, I outed you. You just insulted a major company, and now it's on public record, Fabian. No, but you don't know. I don't know everything. None of us know everything. I had no clue. At least Obi saw that the stock did
I'm like, chart look nice.
Nonsense.
Tomorrow.
Chart looks nice. That's a nice looking chart. I guess to a trader, that's a nice looking chart.
Yeah, that's volatility. There's continuation.
Yeah, but it's also putrid.
Clearly, like that's panic selling. That's like aggressive selling. Clearly, players offside. I want to be on that arena.
Okay, but here's
provide more.
But here's when I come in today. My take on this is so there's the panic selling, but then it bounces off to 50, and then like 165 holds, and then you look where it kind of leveled off, and then by the time you get to the open, you're essentially consolidating and breaking out, then holding a higher low. So like I don't know if there was ever a short available in that. Like if it loses 165, you can short it, but outside of that, I don't know. This is the best thing. Someone in the chat was just like 2007, 2008 was the best time to trade. What made that time so good is that you would just, if this happened to a stock, you could basically just walk in the next day and you knew we were going to find a short in it. That's what made 08. If like something that hadn't broken down starts breaking down, well, you're shorting that today. And if you can't short it, there's going to be monster bounces because the drops are so big that the reversions, there were so many times you could risk a couple of cents to make a lot back in 07, 08 because that's just the way the market was moving. It's the only time that basically everybody made money.
You're saying there were reversions around before as well?
A little bit. But apparently we need to go to Adair. It's 3:49 and balance is coming. Let's go to the desk.
Just quickly, before we get the imbalances, I found what happened here on Allstate ALL. This came in yesterday afternoon. So Allstate has acquired this National General Holdings Corp. They acquired it for $4 billion. The U.S. Justice Department suing National General Holdings and its subsidiaries for falsely placing insurance on hundreds of thousands of borrowers' vehicles. So just to recap, a company that Allstate acquired getting sued by the Justice Department, guys.
Thank you, Adara.
Well,
So
I guess they immediately regret that decision.
Yeah, maybe some regrets there on
That's even better.
For Allstate.
That was a good one.
Yeah, no, interesting price. You were just speaking about the price action that was happening in and around the .com bubble burst as well.
It was the best.
Yeah, I bet. It sounds like a great time to be.
Well, that's not fair to say, because I'll tell you this right now. Everyone, when you're okay, I'm going to give the imbalances and I'll finish this thought. Not much. Ford, 1.8 million to buy. Ooh. BAC, 1.3 million to buy. Nothing else over a million. Intel's 800,000, but that's nothing. Nvidia, 800,000 to sell. It's been in the millions the last few days. That's about it. Unless Apple starts popping up. I did see Microsoft down there at 500,000 to the buy side. So Microsoft buy, Nvidia sell, Intel buy. Kind of a flip-flop. TLT's there for $1.5 million. But that never seems to matter, the TLT imbalance. So I'll keep that up. I'm going to head to the desk in a few minutes for the aftermarket show. Stick around for that. But shoot, now I already forget. What was the thought I was going to make? Oh, if you're myself and you've been trading since 03, like I'm going to say that the best times to trade were like the dot-com bubble bursting, because that's when I first made money. Or I'm going to say 2007, 2008, because that's when the big times happened for everybody early enough in my career. But that's not to say that there weren't other big ones. I'll never forget the Greek, when Greece had its issues, trading in Europe was fantastic. It was, almost everyone was making money doing that. You also had, when marijuana first blew up, everyone came in, stopped doing what they were doing, and traded weed stocks every single day, and that was fantastic. You had the meme craze in 2020 when the best trades on the floor here were like GameStop and it's now it's DJT, but what was DWAC from before? Like those were the best trades a couple of years ago. And that's what you go from one to the other. There was a time when IPOs were just free money. We'd crush IPOs. Still, you can make money on them, but it's a little bit different. There's always something. Just someone like myself is going to remember, like, you always think that the older times are the best times. It's not actually true. But it's just how older people feel, or people that have been around a while are always going to say the same thing. So not much happening on those imbalances. I will say, I saw in the chat, Daryl Flinch is like, I'm not reloading 113 on NVIDIA. I didn't reload ARM at 149 either, brother. And that would have been the right decision to reload NVIDIA at 113. It's late in the day. Time is of the essence. It would have been the right decision to reload ARM at the same level again. That said, when you're day trading, you're up against the clock. It felt to me after that last reversal, maybe you were going to try to, take some profit from shorts and be buying a little bit going into the close. Now you have only 7 minutes to go. I'm not going to put anything new on. As I said, random scenes, so sad we're never getting wrapping anymore. That's on Adara now. Like, there's no chance. You guys hear Adara do the roll call. There is no chance she can't spit hot fire. You know she can. So if pressure her to rap, not me. She's the cool one, for sure. Just saying. She has, trust me, she has bars. She does it in the morning when it's just Sharif, myself, and Adara, and we get in and we're kind of going through things, and she knows there's no one else on the floor. She's dropping bars all the time. I'm just saying. No pressure.
All right. So we're gonna get some rap battles, or
no, I didn't say battle. No. Okay. That's literally the opposite of what I said. I said Adara, not me.
Rapping? Okay, cool.
I just do like a song that I already know. Like I can't actually drop anything off the dome or anything.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm kind of, there's nothing really I'm seeing here on, nothing too crazy on these imbalances. Just kind of holding on. Intel is a buy, but we're kind of selling off here into the close. The offer here. You know what? I should probably pull this up. Intel. Intel trades on the DAC. Yes, it does.
Does it though?
Oh, why am I going to Intel? Ford. I don't know why. Ford. That's why I was a little confused. Trades on the NYSE. Okay, there we go. There's a thick book right there. So you can see, look at that, 1,200 lots on the bid and a bunch of stacks on the ask. I do have to kind of clear up some of my book here. There's repeat orders here, so I have 2 ARCA books that I need to work with. So okay, there we go. I got my cover at the 11.19. So all right, thank you, Ford. That was a good ride, but I shall see you maybe next week there for maybe earnings day 3. But Ford, nice little sell-off today. Tried it a couple times before we finally caught a bit of the backside here. I liked this area. Earnings anchored was just above this 11.36, and that is where I got the most aggressive. But I had already lost a decent amount, kind of coming into it. So I pretty much, I guess pretty much flat. Didn't really do too much on it due to the earlier shenanigans that I was pulling on the Ford. Yeah, no, definitely. Getting involved a little too early, giving it too wide of a risk there on Ford. You know what? I should probably put this in. Actually, pairing happened already. Okay,
yeah, pairing just hit. TLT paired off.
Market is flushing.
Intel paired off. Everything looks like they paired off. I don't see any of the big names with imbalances anymore. But you know what time it is? I'm going to mosey on up to the desk, just make sure I don't have any orders out and all that good stuff, and we'll get to the market recap show. Are you mocking that? Are you going to hold it to the close?
I just tried to mock it, and it canceled me, so I don't know.
Oh, you can't. It's after 3:55. It's a NASDAQ stock or New York?
It's a NYSE.
So use like a Rosen.
Rosen?
Yeah. You should be able to. You can put that. It's 3:55. You can still put that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I should be able.
Hold it from open to close, man. Not very often that you get something you can hold in the close. Okay, fine.
I don't have a do I have a Rosen on here? I don't have my Rosen programmed on here. That's fine. I'll just wait till last second. I mean, it is the NYSE. He does trade in the after hours, right? A little bit.
I'm doing my best to be like, you should always have those keys set up, even if you don't use it on a regular basis.
Yeah, exactly. So the show keyboard layout is slightly different.
Yeah. Well,
I have my regular mock keys.
No, but this really mattered one time.
Yeah.
I didn't have my.
You're right.
It was a trading an AMEX stock. It was .am, not a NASDAQ or New York, and I didn't have my limit on open after an auction key set up on the AMEX. And then there was a crazy runner that day, and it goes nuts. And I take the Holt trade, and I'm like, okay, this is great. I'm like deciding where I want to put it. And with 1 minute to go, I'm like, okay, am I going to take anything out on the reopen? And then I realized I didn't have the key set up. And I was scrambling to set up the key live on the show. While Sean was talking, I was setting up the key so I could get the market on open order or the limit on open order. It gets idiotic. Like you have I'm saying that about myself. Like it was completely foolish. I had 5 minutes to make sure I had that key set up. It takes 2 seconds to do. But if you do it in the final minute, you might screw up. And then what if the best fill is the market on open fills? Anyways, I got to get back over to the desk. That was one last story. I'll see you guys in a couple minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Neil, again, for everything that you do. Again, Neil's been dropping some hot fire, some nice knowledge here. If you guys were listening,
don't show me crutching over.
Yeah. No, it's so I want to talk about this kind of market move that we had today into the close. We only got 3 minutes here, so my mock key does not apparently not accepting. I'm thinking, I honestly don't know why, but I'll just wait till kind of last second here on this waste management, as it has gone a little bit to waste below some of those levels, or put some longs to waste. You know what? I don't want to be biased like that, but definitely players offside on higher time frames. Yeah, hopefully you guys had a great week. And Justin in the chat with the super chat, great week of trading. You all are the very best. No, you are the very best, Justin. Thank you very much. Again, in the chat, you guys are a vibe. And now I am in the chat as well. Finally, kind of we was there in the morning, made some comments. So I'll be around whenever I'm on now to kind of reply to your messages and stuff. But yeah, thank you again for the super chat. Bit of sideways action here on the futures, right? So we kind of opened up, we trade higher, we chopped up the range very aggressively, so pretty much got nowhere. Definitely paper cuts being taken on that choppiness. Finally broke out. That was a trade. Failed to follow through highs. That reversion, that was a beautiful trade. I got to do better with choosing the right vehicle for market trades, right? That's something I definitely do have to work on here. WM coming down to, is this day lows? Not yet. Day lows is 196.60s. We're trading in 196.80s right now. It's crazy. The spread on this thing at times was about a point, was about half a point, was about 20 pennies. Now the spread is literally a penny to 2 pennies to 3 pennies right now. So things are getting a little spicy, getting a little crowded. We got about 30 seconds left. Can I post on the bid? Can I post on the bid, get taken out? Let's see, in the last 30 seconds, you know what? I'm just gonna get out of that, thank you. Oh, damn, it gave me 91s, okay, all right. So nice little bid back up into the close. That's fine. I was like, oh, okay, a little too slow there. I wanted 80s, I wanted 70s, but a little bit of a countdown timer. I gotta get on that right now. Here we go. A little bit late, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you. All right, so thanks for spending time with us today here on the show. Again, I want to thank Fabian and Ramin. You guys did an awesome job today. Nice little market action as well. I want to thank Neil as well for being here and kind of dropping that knowledge for us as well. And I want to thank you guys in the chat for, again, a lot of great ideas, nice little interactions there. People asking, what's your chat name? Well, the chat name is Obi. So I see that a lot of people are atting me in the chat. That's again, thank you for that. Yeah, close out your WM. Yeah, it's done. It's closed. It's printing in the after hours, in and around the same prices here, 196.90s, 196.98s. But yeah, I tried to get a little cheeky and get out. I guess a little bit lower in the 70s there. Where did we print? That closing print prints at 196.96, so not too bad. And I got 196.91, so not too mad about that one. It was okay. Trading day could have been a little bit better. Hopefully you guys have had a good trading week. It's been wild. This market has been selling off for 3 weeks. I'm curious to know what we do coming in next week. We saw that SOFI chart kind of testing the low of the trend there. Just literally the day low is clip that trend on the weekly, the trend that we've been having since January of this year. So it should be an interesting week next week. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Take care. Happy trading. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Don't go anywhere, though. We got Dara and Neil at the big desk for the market recap. See you later, guys.
Thank you, everybody. And it is a bigger desk, although I like to think of the main desk as like the home as well. But it's been a wild day, a wild week, Adara. The market has been giving you so many opportunities. We're just blessed to be able to trade. Shout out to Obi, and thank you for a fantastic day, Obi. But I wanted to get this super chat out of the way right away here because thank you, Justin Swearington. Great week of trading. You all are the best. You guys are all the absolute best. We have the best trading community out there. And this was just a weird sell-off kind of day. You saw there at the end, it was pretty heavy everywhere. And I just got to highlight this chart on the daily because I was going to talk about here, we had 830, we had our PCE number. You end up failing a lot of highs in the overall market. We got big earnings next week after disappointments from Alphabet, after disappointments from Tesla. We got all the big names going into next week, and I think there's a lot of trepidation about it, but it's not all bad because we have 3M, everybody. 3M is going to somehow magically, no, 3M is not going to carry the market, but the rotation is in. And we talked about this before. Things that are finding bottoms and breaking out of them, or breaking out of these resistance tops. Like if you pull up a weekly chart of 3M, look at that. There's your consolidation. There's your rounded bottom. When you get these sort of staple type names that have been left for dead, and we talked about this yesterday, let them start to go. Now you've got something which is trending into the upside. So while we had that big sell-off, and last night's earnings started out really bad because Dexcom was terrible, but you have some good points, 23% to the upside here in 3M. Now, obviously, you do have a lot of positive sectors out there. I want to start with the diamonds. I mean, the Dow just continues to absolutely fly. rotation, rotation, rotation. What does the Dow got? A bunch of boring stuff that only parents care about, and maybe I do a little bit here. But the Dow continues its breakout on the weekly, closing above the 400 level. Pop up the daily chart here on the Dow, 1.5% today, maintaining the dip into prior resistance. So the Dow dips into prior resistance, holds, now you're closing above on the weekly. We've talked about this with some guests before. When a lot of the other indices catch that high, maybe you get a reversal. So the Dow is going to try to retrace back next week. We'll see how it does. A lot of names are going to be reporting in the next couple of weeks that'll have the determination for that, but I think we've got some kind of a chance. SMH, a little bit of a reversal. Now, it's a bit deceiving here because you're up 1.5% on the SMH. Big reversal. Everyone saw what happened with Nvidia, right back into a key 235 level, specifically for SMH. But if you look at what happened today, maybe not the most bullish of days. So yes, you're going to be up because of how we ended yesterday. But overall, since the open, this to me was a weak day for SMH. Range bound, but weak. Double bottom, double top, close with lower highs. It's always deceiving when you dump at the close. You can get a skewed percent gain potentially out of it. The Qs are up 1% as well. Shout out to the IWM, as Adara likes to call it, EWM? EWM. It tried going. It tried to continue going.
Tried.
So, you know what, we always try to do a trade review, and I'm curious about this because Obi was actually trading IWM.
He was.
I don't really I think I've traded like way in the past, but Obi was trying to trade it. It didn't quite go all the way back into that dip support, but it certainly held the higher low after breaking out, and now was trying to get back into that 52-week high. So it looked relatively bullish. Nothing really ended that way unless you're 3M. Were you trading IWM today?
I had one trade on IWM. I was trying to take the range. There was a while there where it ranged 223.30 to 223.70. I got involved 223.30. I ended up getting out, I think, at 40s just because it wasn't giving me what I wanted it to. And I was seeing a couple topping tail candles. I just didn't like it. Got out with profit. But again, I just wasn't. I was like, if I'm not that confident, if it's not giving me what I want, why am I kind of sitting here?
Right.
But I remember, too, there were a couple times where it faked you out into breaking below that range. The rest of the market sells off like crazy. And we have IWM coming right back into, sorry, maybe intervener. Yeah, good times. My mic, but sorry, zooming in there. But so what happened was, it comes back down, and then it comes right back up to repeat the same range. So basically, IWM was glued to that 223.30, 233.70 range. If he played that range, great look, tried, but there were so many other things going on, yeah.
Well, I think the good thing for IWM here, and I just come to the chart for a quick little second, you can see the range that she's talking about. Like right in here in the middle of the day, you did have a scalpable range with that bottom at 223.30. Now, obviously, when the market did that big reversal, I think it's important. You don't always have to divide things into two groups, like what stocks you like long, what stocks you like short. However, when you get a big event like that in the overall market, and maybe I'll do this where I show you the Qs first, where this happens to the Qs and look at the drop, have a look-see at how other things react. So if you go back to the Russell here, it drops, then makes a higher low into a breakout. So it's able to recover and continue to make higher lows after a move that dropped everything. So it was diddling in the middle, went from that to what's the reaction? This dip higher low probably makes you bullish onto this in the last half of Power Hour. Not that I was trading it, but that's just the look that I would have. So a decent move for IWM. Can it get through that high is going to be the big story. Because, as we had Chris Brecher on, and he was mentioning how the last time we had that crazy market, when we have crazy market tops, it'll be the things that haven't made the tops, they get there or fail at that high. The things that are playing catch up fail at their highs when the market's pulling back, like the NASDAQ and the S&P are pulling back, and that sometimes signals a market top. So we are going to be watching IWM with certainly a lot of interest if it's going to make a run to that 240 level. It's looking pretty strong today. But I have to, it's that Dexcom stock. So while we talk about trade review, here, Dexcom didn't have a good day. This is not the right one. It's DXCM, not Dex. Dexcom did not have a good day. down 40% on the session. Obviously, that's not good. I'm not going to try to convince anybody that that's a good chart. However, if you look at what this ended up doing, there was, like, it's down a ton. But by the time you get to the open, which is right in here, look at what Dexcom was doing. It was already making lower highs after dropping. You're in a downward trend, making those lower highs. And I'll pop a 3 minutes so this looks a little bit easier to try to understand. 9:30 hits, and you drop. Then you pop back into a lower high and another lower high, then trend for the entire morning into a double bottom. Like, imagine this stock. Remember we were talking about this in the afternoon? Well, I had one trade in Dexcom. And it was right in, I want to say, no, it wasn't here. I think it was in one of these wicks. One of those two wicks. Where I got wicked out of that trade. Now, admittedly, I was only half focused on Dexcom and focused on the chip names that were shorting this morning, which was the right thing to do because AMD and Nvidia and eventually ARM, they all printed to the downside. But I got wicked out and Dexcom just kept trending to the downside. Sometimes a bad stock and a bad reaction is just bad. But for all of that hoopla, it eventually caught a bid. So congratulations, Dexcom. Only down 40%.
Only.
It was a lot worse if you watch this thing at about 1:30. And it was actually able to gain back about a couple of bucks, so a couple of, a few percentage points there. It was down at $62. That's ridiculous. It was down $45 from the previous close. So Dexcom, I think it's going to be an interesting play on Monday just by the simple fact that it's fallen so far. But as far as trade review goes, we had a lot of great shorts. Dexcom, for me, was not one of them, but it had more to do with not continuing the trade because I elected to short Nvidia and keep on going back over to Nvidia, which was just as good and something we trade more often. And I think if you're prioritizing between two stocks, which one do you think you should pick? Probably the one that you're used to trading. Sometimes you do want to jump to the new thing. Kind of wish I'd done that with 3M, but if you stick to what you know, usually good things are going to happen there.
It's funny you bring up 3M because I was just going to say I had a bit of a situation on 3M. The thing is, like the technicals on 3M, where I went short, I'm going to see if I can pull up a chart for this because I want to be able to describe what I was doing here. Basically, we were in a bit of a range in 3M. We break below the range, then we retest the range on a wick basis. I was like, cool, sure. The whole market was falling. We were down, and twice it tried to fill me and couldn't. I was like, okay, so they really don't want this area. I'm like, this is great. We're gonna push lower. Awesome. I'll pull up let me just get this up here in TradingView so I can kind of explain what I was looking at. So yeah, so you can, yes, here it is. So you can see here, you can't really see the wicks, but we were, oh yeah, there it is. There's that kind of topping tail candle. We get back into that 122.60 area of that range. We wick up into it. I'm like, okay, cool, short. I go short, and then immediately it pops into like, what was that, 124s? So I got out like, or not 124s, 123s. I managed to trade okay. I didn't lose too much on it, but it was like hard because the technicals were there. I was looking at it all day to play with that range, and I just didn't feel confident about the trade. So that's one example I think of sometimes where just if you don't feel good about it, take a moment, breathe, and make sure, even if the levels are screaming at you, short me, because I was looking at that all day. But yeah, that's my 3M rant.
I'm like very curious because we were talking a lot about trend breaks. So I'm going to slap this on 3M on a 3 minute because this is fun to do. When Obi's on, we both kind of like this sort of idea where you have a crazy parabolic stock like a 3M, look for an area where you can get a pullback. So in the morning, right at 9:30, it breaks out huge. It then consolidates right here, 116.5. That's at 9:40 before making its next move. You then get this dip back into right at 11 o'clock or 10:30. That's right into 118.80. So that low and that low connects you with a trend line. Have a look at when it actually broke the trend. This is a pretty strong stock. Like when it broke that trend line, it just consolidated. It didn't break down. Remember Microsoft? Microsoft tanked when it broke a trend line like this. ARM tanked when it broke a trend line like this. This stock decided to glide sideways, retest the high, and then go to the downside. So that's an idea that this may be a little bit more bullish than the others, because something with a big, steep trend means you have a lot of people that might want to take some profit if it starts pulling back, because they're in deep in the money. at that point. And anyone buying those highs has got to be scared if you're buying near that high that you're going to get a really big dip back down in. So that's interesting. I hadn't put a trend line on 3M at all, but that was a big, big mover for sure. I know we have a bit of a treat this afternoon for Trader Talk because, and I know we have a lot of fantastic guests, and we're able to talk to Ryan Faluna from Benzinga on Thursday, but we didn't necessarily dive into absolutely everything. And we don't have a lot of guests that actually trade a wide host of names, which is, I find, a lot of fun. We have a lot of big cap tech. Not always get the chance to talk to a trader that's in some of those small caps, which I know a lot of you like. So when I get that thumbs up, we're excited to head on over to a little bit of trading. That looks, there he is. There's Ryan.
There I am. I was like, hey.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going, Ryan?
It's going really good. It's going really good. What a close to the week here. I know I was just hearing you talk about small caps, and like I was saying, I'm glad that people remember there's these great stocks called small caps, which can sometimes move huge amounts. We want to be able to trade them, and it seems like they're finally back here. So I am stoked for that.
You know what, Ryan, and just a shout out to you for coming on. For anyone that doesn't know, we got Ryan Faluna here, experienced trader from Benzinga. And I don't even make this up. Like, we're randomly talking stories with Obi on the desk in the afternoon show. And I was telling everybody that when I started trading 20 years ago, I started making checks on penny stocks and small cap stocks. I gravitated, you add things to your toolbox and I gravitated away. But at that time, it wasn't the cool thing. But it was the thing that made me money, and that's all that anybody cares about. So, like you said, it's good to remember other opportunities out there in the market. So, first question I have to ask you, today was obviously insane, 3M going nuts, the market's up, it's down. We end up with that crazy, weird sell event in the afternoon that took the Qs down a ton. And
just like we had yesterday? Yep, repeat of yesterday?
Yeah, like another repeat. So what were you looking at in particular? Because it was really easy to just do most of what you did the day before. A lot of that stuff was working here today. What was your look today? What were you trading? What worked? What didn't work?
Okay, couple of things. So first of all, on Fridays, I'm normally very, very light on the trading. A lot of Friday afternoons, I'm actually not at my terminal. I'm on the golf course. So that should just give you an idea of how I'm handling Friday as it is. However, today, 3M was just too much. Early in the morning, I was trying to trade some small caps. I was actually kind of watching more than I was trading. I did try to take one. I got stopped out on it. It just didn't work. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to kind of hold off here. I handled some of my lunch business, but when I came back and I saw that 3M was pushing up again, I was like, I can't just let this week expire without trying to get in the scalp action there. So right after noon, when we started to dip back towards the VWAP, I started to scale in pretty small. And eventually when we went higher, I took that scalp off and called that a day. One of the reasons this is the case is because a majority of the the majority of the positions that I'm holding are small caps. So I really didn't have to do anything today, and my balance just kept going up. So I'm pretty good there. That if I don't have to actively work, I won't do that. It seems like less is more right now. And so I'm trying to kind of stick to that, especially near the end of the week. Tomorrow next week, we have a huge week. Big Mama's reporting earnings. You probably never heard that from me. That's Apple, of course, along with some of the other big cap techs. And then, of course, we've got the Fed decision on Wednesday.
Yes, sir. I have not heard that one from you. I haven't heard anyone refer to Big Mama. Big Mama. So where are we getting that one from? I've been trading a while, but that's a new one for me. But it's obviously big earnings. But where do we get the Big Mama from?
Well, Big Mama, it is Apple. It is the stock that everybody loves. Everybody loves their mama. Come on. I mean, so everyone loves Apple. It is the biggest stock in the market. I know NVIDIA was kind of playing with it for a little bit, but Apple's retaken that lead. Apple was the first stock to $1 trillion market cap, if I'm not mistaken. It's just the big one. It's the one that moves the market around. It's one that since I really started doing this, Apple is one of those earnings that I have always looked forward to every single quarter, and it is the same here for next quarter. So that's kind of where Big Mama comes from. Worth noting, we also have Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta coming next week.
Yeah, the next 2 weeks are gigantic. You're right. Apple is the granddaddy. It's
the Granny Smith.
The Granny Smith. whatever adjective you want to get. I do like the big mama because you're right. Everyone loves their mother, except for bad people.
I mean, it just is. It is.
It is what it is. But my level of concern would be, we just saw what happened with Google and Alphabet and Tesla, right? And the reaction that the market took after those two. Now all of a sudden you have an even bigger week with those with bigger tech names. The expectations are high here, Ryan. And if they don't meet those expectations, I think there's a lot of risk to the downside. Well, I mean, maybe not a lot of risk. There's more risk to the downside. That's a better way to put it. I shouldn't say there's a lot of risk to the downside. I say there's more risk to the downside, given the reaction that we saw with Alphabet and Tesla. Now, are you just a completely reactionary to earnings like we are as day traders? It's like I see it and just trade it as it is and what it lies? Or do you go in with any ideas beforehand that you favor one way or the other?
Yeah, it depends. If there's something that I feel really strongly about, especially for a particular print, I'll trade it. And we can just actually kind of pick up with Apple, which is where we left off. There was a period of time where every time I heard news stories come out about channel checks on the iPhone and Apple's not going to produce phones, I just said, okay, thanks for telling me. Now I'm long ahead of earnings, because after earnings, we'd get a beat, the stock would pop, everyone would be like, what's going on? And Apple would just continue to do that. Now, recently, I haven't really had that feeling. I've owned Apple since 2015. This is one of the picks that Jim Cramer seems to have got absolutely right. Don't trade it, just own it. That's worked well. I've gone through 2 splits at this point now, so that's pretty sweet. I'm not necessarily going to play that for earnings itself. I'm actually going to watch and see what happens. And the chart that I have here is actually not on Apple, it's on SPY, because this is probably something that I'm even more concerned with next week, other than some of those earnings. We have the Fed decision here on Wednesday. This line, let me actually turn off some of these. It's a little bit easier for the viewers to see out there. This line right here, this trend line goes back to October of 2023. We have tested this a couple of times and held, including recently, and we are about to retest this again next week. If the Fed decision or any one of these earnings really starts to bring the SPY down and we get a breakdown from this trend line, look out. I think we've got some more downside below, and you can actually start looking at some of those moving averages for potential levels, most notably that 496.74 level down at the 200-day. So I'm looking at Apple, but honestly, I'm looking at what it does and then seeing how it affects some of the other stocks out there in the market. Now, as far as those small caps that we talked about, I'm still long them. So if we still get this move where the Qs and the SPY come back in and the IWM outperforms, giddy up. I'm already positioned for next week. I look at this chart here, this IWM daily. I saw that you guys were looking at this earlier. I look at this chart here. I got a great plan, right? If we back test this 212, we'll figure out what the next trade is. But otherwise, this daily chart looks like this is trying to go higher. Let's see a 230 print next week on IWM. I'd be stoked.
Yeah, there you go. And you weren't the only one. You looked at the SPY there. We were looking at Obi and I, like a Microsoft chart on the daily shows you a similar trend that is really, really under threat for next week, obviously with earnings. And it doesn't take much, man. If you draw, when trends break, we're trading some in the afternoon. When trends break, it is a run to the exit for profit takers. Like, why would I get out? If you've been able to buy it's the same dip point for 2 years or a year, or if you're a day trader, if you've been able to buy the same dip for the entire morning, well, what happens when everyone's seen the exact same thing and it breaks? They just run to the exit. That would be the fear, but I love that look on the Russell. I don't day trade the Russell, and a few people on the desk do, and I feel like I might need to go over to that, because if we do get this rollover, there's always a big if. Like you said, position yourself for what'll happen. If we do get this rollover and suddenly the place to look for the longs might actually be over in IWM, you're going to want to have some relatively strong names or something that you can trade in the other direction. I always find myself doing this when I come into a day and then at midday, at 10 o'clock, at midday, and then in the afternoon. I always want to have I like these things to the long side. I like these couple of things to the short side, so that I'm always prepared for any eventuality. For yourself, just thinking out loud here, do you have that approach, or do you prefer, hey, I just like longs today, I'm only looking for longs, or do you like to have something in the pocket in each direction?
Okay, that's a great question. I'll be honest with you. everything is going according to plan if I have long setups. If I could just trade longs the rest of my career, I would be stoked about that. I try to make most of my money on the long side. I feel more comfortable on the long side, so I try to just go to where my comfort zone is. So I often don't have things lined up for the other direction, but that's what makes some of these events so important, whether it's going to be an earnings print for a particular stock or a Fed decision like that. Like, you don't, if you what you want to do is trade to the long side and the long setup does not present itself, you better come up with another plan. And that's kind of when I will come up with that. And I oftentimes will try to use options in order to capture a downside move, because exposing myself to unlimited risk is never a part of any of my trading plans. Generally speaking, I'm not shorting unless it's a short scalp of the equity. I'd rather play that with options.
Oh, I 100% agree. And I want every single trader out here to, and all the viewers, whether you're an experienced trader, whether you're a passive trader, I want every viewer to understand something that you just said. I like to have trade in either direction. You prefer trading to the long side there, Ryan. And then you said on Fridays, usually you're not doing much of anything. And then what is the one stock that you mentioned you had to jump over? This is a day where the shorts were paying for most of the day. Early, they paid late, 3M. And this is what it's all about. If you're someone that favors the long, maybe not the only answer, but the best answer to what is the thing that you were looking at today needed to be 3M. And whether you traded it or not, at least it was the thing you were looking at, because identifying where to trade is half the story. Like, what is the stock that I should even be looking at in the first place? And I think you absolutely nailed that with 3M. We only have a couple of minutes here maybe left. Do you have any final thoughts? And specifically, maybe if you could tell me any continuation ideas for 3M. I looked at the daily chart of this thing, and I know it's up 23%, but if you look at what's happening on the daily, or maybe even the weekly, it's just breaking out of a long downward trend. I got to be thinking maybe there's a dip buy that we can get into prior resistance. This looks pretty exciting, although it's such a wide range, might have to wait a day or two.
Yeah, I mean, this thing's got the mo right now. Now, it did kind of trade up to a resistance area. So the level that I think the most comes off this weekly chart. If this thing wants to play any regression back to the mean, which frankly would make sense after being up 23% today on just an absolute blitz of a move, I think a pullback towards this 200-week moving average, which I have here at about 117, that makes a lot of sense for potential entry. You could talk me into that. If we put the cursor there, you can see that this actually lines up pretty well with some former areas where the dip buyers ended up taking the stock higher when the stock dipped into this level. So as far as it continue, first of all, I like how the way that you set that up. You'd actually rather wait for this to just kind of trade back instead of just trying to chase the mo. If we get that, let's see here. The other thing about 3M is I believe they still have some investigation worry. Let's call them headwinds potentially in the past. So we'll see what happens with the news flow. We'll see if anything comes out. We'll see if anything knocks this back down to a tradable level. As far as identifying this here today, look, I tried to play longs on some of the smaller stocks this morning. It just didn't work. So you got to go to the one that's just absolutely raging all day. And to me, that was it, right? There was one choice here today.
Yeah, I say it all the time. Sometimes you have to buy high and sell higher. That whole notion of buy low, sell high, the reality of trading is if that's the only trick that you've got, you're going to be sitting on the sidelines a heck of a lot. You're not going to get those bottoms and tops. Sometimes joining an established trend is the best way to go there. Ryan, thank you for coming on here. Enjoy having you on a Friday. Best of luck in your trading. It's a big earnings week next week. Certainly, best of luck trading, but also have a fantastic weekend. And thank you for coming on the show. We enjoy having you on.
I really appreciate it. You folks have a great weekend and watch that Microsoft 200-day next week after earnings.
That's right. Thank you so much. Adara, it's always so much fun talking to a trader. Like I've only had the chance on the show to talk to Ryan a couple of times here and Sean one time before, and we've just brought him into our community. But every single time, it's like even by accident, he wasn't going to trade today, but just the stock selection, the thing that you chose to trade, what you're looking at, the not chasing 3M because they have litigation, because it's broken too far. It's just so easy to flow because those are the questions that I had. I wish I was long 3M today. I was shorting stuff. because I was looking to go either direction. I felt like most things were weak, so we were shorting things. But that's what it's all about. You can learn from every single trader out there. I think everybody in our chat and everybody on the show can learn a little something from Adair about having endless energy, that's for sure. And on that note, you know what time it is.
I do.
We're rolling into the weekend.
We're rolling into the roll call?
We're rolling into the big earnings week. We're rolling into, okay, I don't know, whatever. We're rolling into roll call, everybody. So you know what time it is. It's a time where we give thanks to the great community that we have by Adara dropping hotlines, as I'm going to get my name in there because I like hearing it riffed on as well. Big shout out to Ryan and big thank you to him. But Adara, take it over. It's roll call time.
Thank you, Ryan Valuna. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Benzinga. Thank you, Fabian, as well. Thank you to Bears vs. Bulls for everything you do. So happy to be here. Adam DeLuce, shout out to you. Shout out to Pineapple Undies. We got Bears vs. Bulls, hashtag traders stay late. Indeed, they do. Mahesh, we've got the philanthropist Baker, Blue Arrow, Kyle Burdett, Big Spal Burdett, Richard Fan. We've got Neil in the chat. We've got Robert Leo. We have Neo Roberts, not to be confused with Neil Roberts, in the chat as well. We've got Adam DeLuce. We've got BGZ, Los Hansen, Darwin, Bristol, By the Drip. We've got the Piper. We've got Henrik, the philanthropist Baker again, Noah, Mark L, Rivian Millionaire, Fat Fig, a Happy Zombie, Alex Diaz, Los, Scrambled Eggs on Toast. Sounds really good. Roaring on 20s, Jay, Blue Arrow, Neil, again, shout out to Fabian Ramin and D, shout out to this whole community, the Nathan Williams, Copy Gear team, Kyle Burdett, the Scratch Life, Cerise Ye, the Nathan Williams, Ronald Grimman, Case, Bright Awakening, the Nathan Williams, Copy Gear team. We're kind of running out of names here, but always having more steam for this market. Cannot wait till next week.
CompuCare team just said, when will you shout out my name to me? CompuCare team, you got it. You got it. I'll tell you right now, we shout out Fabian and Ramin. Ramin was fixing stuff while around. Fabian hasn't even eaten his lunch. I'm looking over, I'm pointing. He's on the ones and twos for his traders stay late, and he still has his pasta next to him, and he hasn't even eaten. That is the work that gets put in so that everybody here can enjoy the best trading community and the best trading show out there. That is Trader TV Live. It's going to be a fun one. Big shout out to Obi for stepping into Sean's shoes and filling them like he always does. Some bangers today with that awful, ugly, nasty waste management trade. Of course, it was a great trade, but it was a short, and waste management got punked, so that's a good one there. But you know what's up. Say this every single time. Today was good. Tomorrow is always going to be better. We've got the Super Bowl of earnings, all the big names. So make sure you tune in to the week ahead video. Get prepped for it. We've got big earnings. We got the Fed next week. We'll have a fun weekend, everybody, from Trader TV Live, for Adair, for myself, for the entire team. But we're right back at it Monday morning at 8:30. Good luck, everybody.